So there I was, 25 years old, freshly reborn, reunited with my dead parents for the first time in 20 years, getting beaten with a stick my mother had salted first. Let me back up. I died an old man. And at the very last moment, with my daughters standing around the bed, I looked at their faces and saw no grief at all. What I saw was relief. Like a long-standing debt had finally been settled. That's what I took with me. As a father, I was a failure. So when I came to and heard drinking next to me, I thought, do the Oxhead and Horseface drink on duty? Will King Yama send me to the 18th layer? He's definitely not letting me come back as a person. What's he gonna make me next time? Then somebody shoved me. Ming Zi, what's with you today? 2 cups and you're already pretending to be drunk? That's not like you. Yang bought today's braised dishes, keep faking and you're the one losing out. I sat straight up. Da Lei, Lei Zi, Xiao Tao, Feng Zi. Yang guys, you guys! I looked around. Adobe house, main room, 8 immortals table with a few dishes on it, 5 of us around it. And if I remembered right, this was Delay's house, which Delay tore down 20 years ago to build a villa. And these were my childhood friends, all of whom died before I did. So why were they young? I raised my right hand and looked at it under the dim light. That hand had been covered in age spots, the skin gone thin and wrinkled. It was young and strong. I touched my face. Tight. No wrinkles anywhere. So I pinched my own cheek, hard, and it hurt. Which settled it. Not a dream. Not the last illusion before death. Not a ghost either. None of those things hurt. Feng Zi, what's today's date? Year, month, day? He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. It's September 25th, 1978. National Day's in a few days. Ming Zi, what's wrong with you? 1978. September 25th? And I stood up. Delay, Lei Zi, Xiao Tao, Feng Zi, Yang all keep drinking. I just remembered something. I have to go home. We'll do this another time. And I left. Didn't look back. What happened to Ming Zi? Did he run into something? He was acting strange. Forget it. It's good that he's going home. Delay waved it off. We brothers all know what Ming Zi's situation has been these past few years. Say too much and he'll think we're laughing at him. It's a good thing he still remembers he has a home. If he figures things out, we can help him more from here. Dale's right. Let's let him go. We'll take some things over to him in a couple of days. Ming Zi bought the food and he hasn't had 2 bites. 20 years dead, and those 4 men are sitting around a table, quietly agreeing to not embarrass me and to bring me food. I ran, faster and faster, went down at a corner, got straight back up, and kept running. September 25th, 1978. Wife, daughters. I've been reborn. This life, you don't suffer. I'll carry this house like a man is supposed to, and you'll live well. Here's what you need to know about the man doing that running. I married Jiang Lihua 7 years ago. Year after the wedding, twin daughters. 4th year, another pair of twins. This January, a 3rd pair. 6 daughters in a row. And a man who'd been full of passion for his life looked at that and gave up completely. I lay around the house all day, idled, loafed. My one hobby was drinking with those 4, until the whole village had me filed as a hooligan. I let my wife support me. I let my father and mother handle things, contentedly. My beautiful wife died of a long illness in her 40s. My father, Liu Jian, famous local hunter and sharpshooter, went into the mountains to set traps with a lame leg, well into old age, purely to keep my household from falling apart. I have an elder brother. We'd already split the household, so my father refused the pension my brother offered him. He couldn't stand the gossip that he was bleeding his eldest to feed his 2nd son. So instead, at that age, he went up the mountain himself. Herbs and traps. For me. The year after my wife died, he ran into a big boar up there and it gored him to death in the wilderness. When the villagers found him, his body wasn't whole. My mother, who'd been beside him through everything, visibly lost her spirit and followed him a few months later. And it took all of that, wife, father, mother, gone in a row, for a nearly 50-year-old man to finally understand. Then, with Dale and the others' help, I started buying mountain goods. By 60, I was a small boss with several million yuan. I was never happy again. Not one day. I lived in regret and guilt, and I stayed there. Of 6 daughters, 4 lived to adulthood. They were afraid of me as children, and they hated me as adults. Once they had families of their own, they ignored me completely. And at the end, in that hospital bed, not one sad face. I really did not deserve to be a father. But now it's different. I'm going to carry this house. My wife is going to live well. My father and mother are going to stop worrying about me and live to be 100. And all 6 of my daughters are going to grow up healthy and go to school and marry good men, and none of them will ever suffer what I watched them suffer the first time. No son means the family line is cut? To hell with that. My house came into view. 3 rooms of adobe, paid for and built by my father 7 years ago when I married. Next to it, the old house where my parents live. Next to that, my elder brother's, also 3 rooms of adobe. Except his has an annex added over the years. And this year he put up a small shed for chickens and ducks. I looked at my brother's house, then at mine, and I stopped walking and cursed myself under my breath and went into my own yard hesitantly. I had missed Lihua for 20 years. Today, I get to see her young. My hand was shaking on the door. Creak. Gah. I meant to knock. I pushed too hard. Why didn't Lihua bar the door? And I looked up. And my father, Liu Jian, and my mother, Wang Meiling, were sitting at the table in my main room, grim. Father! Mother! I nearly cried. They died because I was lazy and useless, and here they were. And Liu Jian looked at his good-for-nothing son come home like nothing had happened, still smelling of alcohol. Bang! He hit the table, stood up, and started cursing, finger nearly in my forehead. Don't call me father. This old man does not have a son like you. Yang sold the grain this family needs to get through the winter. To buy wine? That is the life of your family of 8. How did I produce a thing like you? And then, still not satisfied, he walked to the door, picked up the door-barring pole, and turned around to bring it down on me. Every house at the foot of Changbai keeps one. Winter winds are strong, and there's history of wild animals coming down and hurting people. Bar the door with it, and it's much harder for anything to get in. And my mother saw the pole come up, and she moved fast and snatched it away. Husband, that pole won't do. Don't hit Xiao Ming too badly. And she walked to the door, and closed it, and barred it, and then produced, from beside that door, a straight stick, over 1 meter long, thick as 2 fingers, and handed it to him. Husband, I've barred the door, now he can't run out. Use this one, I've smeared some salt on. Bit. Whip him hard and teach this brat a lesson. I stood there, mid-emotional reunion with my dead mother, and swallowed. Father, mother, I know I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Please calm down. I didn't finish. Ask me again when the salt hits. I had envisioned a scene. Father and son, mother and son, 20 years apart, touching reunion. What I actually got was the depth of paternal affection remaining unknown and the taste of a stick becoming known immediately. I stood still and took it. Dad, I really do know I was wrong. I'll change. Your legs aren't what they used to be. Don't work yourself up. Don't fall. And my mother, seeing that her husband was getting tired from the beating, took the stick off him. Husband, catch your breath. Let me take over. And she continued the loving education, though noticeably lighter. Stick goes up high, lands soft. 25 years old, reborn for 4 hours, receiving a mixed doubles beating from my parents. Anyone who's been through long-term mixed doubles knows the technique. Yang admit fault immediately, and you aim your apology at the softer-hearted one. Tearful and choked up is best, that way it passes quickly. Go stubborn, do the come on then, have the guts to kill me routine, and you're looking at a minimum of 2 broken sticks. So I followed my heart and hugged my mother. Mother, I really know I was wrong. From now on, I'll take good care of my wife and daughters and support this family. And she stopped, and looked at her favorite second son, and her face was nothing but helpless. Ming Zi, when will you ever grow up? My father opened the gate to go home, turned in the doorway, pointed. How could our Chen family produce a wretch like you? And limped away. My mother tossed the stick on the ground and let out a long sigh. Ming Zi, your father and I brought some grain over for your family. Your father was afraid you'd sell it again, so he only brought enough for a few days. He says if you dare sell it again, we'll take your wife and children to our house to eat, and you can fend for yourself. Be sensible. And then, without looking at me again, she walked to the inner room and called in, voice gone icy. Lihua, your man is back. Boil some water and fix him something to eat. She has no pleasant expression for that daughter-in-law, because in her account, her second son used to be diligent, a skilled hand in the fields, no less than his father in the mountains. And it's all because this daughter-in-law couldn't produce a son, making him the laughingstock of the village for having no heir, that he became what he is. If she didn't think the family shouldn't break apart, she'd have driven her out long ago. and a timid voice came from inside. "I know, Mother." Mother left. I barred the door, turned around, and Jiang Lihua came out, and I rushed forward and hugged her. "Wife, and a cold voice cut me off from inside my own arms. "Father and Mother brought grain. It's in the room." "Husband, please don't sell it again." That stopped me dead, because I really am a piece of work. The day before yesterday, Dale came back from the commune and suggested the brothers get together. And to put on a brave front, I sold the grain and bought braised dishes to bring. How did I not consider that was my family's food? Or did I consider it, and do it anyway, knowing my parents would bail me out? I let go of her. "Wife, I won't be like this anymore. It's late, let's rest, don't fuss." She gave me one faint look, said nothing, and went back inside. The commotion had woken the daughters. The two youngest needed soothing back to sleep. I watched her go, and I slapped myself across the face. Then I heated water, washed my feet, and went in. 6 daughters asleep on the kang. Lihua holding the two youngest, eyes shut, asleep or not, I couldn't tell. I lay down beside her and started planning, because babbling is useless. And the era I'd landed in was awkward. The storm has stopped. The spring breeze hasn't blown here yet. Buying anything requires ration coupons. Villagers can't say they're selling, only exchanging. Selling is speculation and profiteering. There are black markets in the commune and the county. The supply co-op still wants coupons. And there are bold people doing business without coupons, but that's not something ordinary folks dare. No connections, and you don't just lose everything down to your underpants. Yang can lose yourself. I'll have to pick the mountain hauling and hunting back up. With a mountain at our backs, how do I let my family go hungry? But Wang Chai and the gun both got taken back by father. He won't hand those over for a while. The urgent thing is meat. Any way to get meat. Look how thin eldest and fourth are. And fifth and sixth, because Lihua doesn't have much milk, are pitifully thin. And somewhere in all that planning I drifted off, completely unaware that the round jade pendant on my chest was getting hotter and hotter. 3 in the morning, the deepest part of sleep. I sat bolt upright, drenched in sweat. Looked at my wife and daughters. Got off the kang quietly, threw a coat on, and went out. Turned on the light, sat at the table, took the pendant off. Beast Taming Sect. Beast Taming Art? I did not have this pendant at this point last time. I bought it years later, off a fisherman in Guangdong, on my first trip down there selling goods. There were a lot of wealthy bosses down there then, who loved rare mountain delicacies. Collect the good stuff here, haul it to Guangdong, and you'd clear 10 times, sometimes dozens of times. Mostly the type with more money than sense. I thought it looked nice, so I bought it. Wore it my whole life. Found it cool and comfortable. Nothing strange about it, ever. And it followed me through rebirth into 1978 and handed me the legacy of the Beast Taming Art. Is any of this real? So I put it back on, ignored the freezing floor, sat cross-legged and tried it. And if you could have seen through my shirt, you'd have watched that dark green jade heat up, and then watched the green drain out of it until it went a plain, stone-like gray-white. When I came out of it, my brother's and father's rooster was already crowing. Dawn wasn't far. I sprang up and yanked the pendant out, shocked. How did it turn this color? It's ugly now. Who'd have thought the beast taming art was real? A few hours and I'm at the first layer. I stuffed it back in my shirt and threw 2 punches and a kick at the air because my body was full of something. Before sleeping, I'd been genuinely worried about whether I could pick the hunting back up. I'd been a hooligan for 3 or 4 years, lying around or drinking, and I could feel how far my body had fallen. 1 layer and I'm new. I went out into the courtyard. Sky lightening, winter coming on, colder every day. I couldn't feel the slightest chill. If I hadn't been afraid of waking people and having them decide I'd gone mad, I'd have laughed maniacally just to let it out. Took about 10 minutes to get myself under control. Then I went in, got dressed, and picked up the small bag of grain my parents sent. Lihua had woken when I came in for my clothes. She kept pretending to be asleep, and when she heard me take that bag of grain out of the room, she sighed inwardly, and a tear came out. Because I used to do exactly this. Quietly take the family's grain out while she and the daughters slept to sell or trade for liquor. What was I expecting? Once a person turns lazy, how easy is it to change? And then something was off, because I hadn't left, and she could faintly hear a fire being lit in the kitchen stove. She held out as long as she could. Then she couldn't. She looked at 5th and 6th sleeping, got up gently, dressed, and came through. and found her husband feeding firewood into the stove with a bit of soot on his face, smiling at her the way he used to when she first married in. Wife, I steamed some mixed grain buns and made porridge. Go back to sleep a while. Get up with the daughters later. She stood there, confused. How long had it been? Over 3 years. Since third and fourth were born, he had never once gotten up early to make breakfast. Even during her postpartum confinement, she got up and cooked herself. And if she was late, he scolded her. The children are still sleeping. I'll go wake them. Let them sleep a bit longer. Yang, go back too. I'll keep it warm. Later, I'll take the firewood knife out and see if I can get some fish from the river. Make a soup. Put a bit of meat in our meals. Don't just stand there. Go lie down. There's no farm work right now. Take the chance to rest. Look how thin you've gotten. And she was so overwhelmed by it that her mind went buzzing, and she ignored the entire fish plan and, as if possessed, obediently went back inside. Could it be that being beaten by both a man and a woman actually fixed him? He's taken plenty of those over the years, and which time in the past did he not take it out on me and the daughters afterward? Read that last line again and understand what it means about the man I used to be. Her honest, considered, evidence-based theory for why her husband is suddenly being kind to her is, he's been hit hard enough and the retaliation hasn't started yet. She's not waiting for a husband. She's waiting for the second half of a pattern she has 20 years of data on. I ate 2 cornbread buns and half a bowl of porridge, kept the rest warm, and got the firewood knife, 2 lengths of hemp rope, and Jome, after a moment's thought, about 10 corn cobs, and went out. Ask me again when I find out what a man from the future knows about fish. Here's the village, briefly. Kaoshan Village, foot of Changbai. A river cuts it in half. My side is first team. Across the water is second team. And for reasons nobody can name anymore, the 2 teams do not like each other. It isn't water rights. It isn't anything. They just don't. And yet they've been intermarrying forever. My own sister married into second team. River plus mountain means it's a big village. 400 plus households, over 2,000 people. There's a forest farm less than 10 li away where you can pick up odd jobs. So Kaoshan is poor, but nobody's starved to death. Compared to a lot of places, it's honestly not bad. There's something almost idyllic about it, along with the gossip. Who's feuding with who? Which man went into the cornfield with which widow? Which family favors one son and started a brawl between brothers? Ordinary people living ordinary lives. How do you avoid that? The river runs fast here and it's full of fish, which nobody can get out, because for years, anything swimming, running, or flying belonged to the collective. Set the odd snare for a mountain rabbit or a pheasant, and nobody says a word. Do it every day without a hunter's license, and there is always somebody envious enough to report you. And the current's too quick to work. During the 3 years of natural disasters, a lot of people had their eyes on these fish. Very few ever got any. Besides, fish isn't oily, and cooking it uses oil, so plenty of people don't even like it. In this era, anywhere, oil is precious. Yang plan its use carefully. But I'm not from this era. I know about a thing called a fish trap. I bought one online once. When Douyin got big, there were detailed tutorials. No wire, no plastic cord. Doesn't matter, know the principle and branches will do. 2 hours gathering twigs about little finger thick. Been an hour building. It's not mysterious. It's a cage. Detachable bottom. And at the mouth, you tie twigs pointing inward, so fish swim in easily, and when they try to leave, the twigs stop them. Want a bigger fish? Make a bigger opening. Stripped bark for cord. 1 meter long, mouth about 40 centimeters. Genuinely ugly for a first attempt. Doesn't matter. Sturdy, and it catches fish. Then bait. Dug up a dozen fat earthworms in about a minute. The soil here hasn't met chemical fertilizer or pesticide yet, so worms are everywhere. Wrapped the worms and my 10 corn cobs in a lump of riverbank mud and stuffed it in. Improvised. Soak the corn in liquor or get oil cake left from pressing. The smell would pull fish from dozens of meters away, desperate to get in. But those are luxuries here. Wishful thinking. Rope to the trap, rope to a tree root. Plop. Then, wait. Sunset about 10:30, 11. I'd collect it in the afternoon. Meanwhile, firewood. Winter's coming and every household lays in fuel to heat the kang through it. For the past few years, I chopped none. It was Lihua, dragging her frail body out to do it. My father chopped some for us. My elder brother, unable to stand watching, chopped a few bundles and carried them over. Thinking about it, I really was a scoundrel. 1 bundle, tied tight, and I lifted it onto my back without much effort. This beast taming art is something. The first layer, and I'm a strong man. I couldn't have shouldered this bundle before. I'd have had to find a high spot and stand underneath it to get it up. I wonder if the taming part is real too. One day when father isn't looking, I'll try bringing Wang Cai home. Coming back, I saw two little girls playing in my yard. Third daughter, Liu Xiaoyu. Fourth daughter, Liu Minmin. Both 4, both at the age where they're loud and everywhere. They saw me coming, and instead of running over shouting, "Dad!" they scurried straight into the house. Anyone watching would assume wolves were coming. Sigh. Just how much of a scoundrel had I been? Lihua came out. She was starting lunch. Liu Yuer and Liu Lingling, the eldest two, are 6, and they already know to help their mother. And she looked at the firewood on my back with a face full of surprise. "Husband, you went out that early just to chop firewood?" "One bundle doesn't take long. I made a fish trap at the river." "Wife, maybe we'll have fish tonight." And at the word fish, 2 small shapes appeared behind her. And Liu Minmin grabbed her mother's trouser leg, hid behind it, and peeked around with half her head showing. "Dad, will we have fish tonight?" And I walked over, slowly, and squatted down and smiled at her. "Minmin likes fish? Dad's going to catch fish this afternoon. Catch a big one for Minmin." And she swallowed. "Dad, Minmin wants fish. Last time at Grandpa's house I ate some. It was so yummy," and licked her lips. "All right, we eat fish tonight." And looking at that face, I decided that if the trap came up empty, I'd go to the commune and buy one. I still had money left from the grain. I am not letting this little girl down. Lunch: cornbread buns, pickled vegetable knobs, and a dish of stir-fried cabbage. Stir-fried is generous. What it is, you grease the pot with a chopstick, boil it in water, and chip off a piece of rock salt. Yang could just call it boiled cabbage. And even so, my children sat there and looked at me timidly, waiting for me to eat first. Because it has always been like that. If they ate before me, or ate too much, they got scolded. Liu Yuer and Liu Lingling, being 6, are more sensible than the little ones, which means they're more afraid and don't dare speak to me. And I sat there and looked at them, and I knew exactly how this ends. Liu Yuer got the worst of it. At 16 or 17, I married her off, on my own authority, to a loafer from second team. Because his family offered 500 yuan as bride price, and I overrode my father, my mother, and my wife to do it. Predictably, he started beating her not long after. Her mother-in-law gave her every filthy, exhausting job in the house and screamed abuse at the smallest mistake, and then her son would step in and punch and kick. She got pregnant anyway, and her health was too poor, and she lost the baby. And afterward, that house became purgatory. And early one morning, in her 2nd year of marriage, she walked into the river. Liu Lingling watched her sister's life happen, and one night she ran. 3 years later, the letters started. One every 2 or 3 months, sometimes a little money. Then, after a few years, everything stopped. No letters, no money. I became a wealthy boss, and I spent money specifically to find her, and I never saw my 2nd daughter again. And they were sitting right there, 6 years old, swallowing their saliva and not daring to reach for a cornbread bun. So I reached out and put 2 buns in each of their bowls. "Eat up!" Then served vegetables into all 4 bowls. "Eat it with the vegetables so you get full. Ask me again when they work out they're allowed to." I ignored the shocked looks and started on a bun with the pickles. Lihua ate fast and carried a small bowl of flour paste into the inner room. She doesn't have enough milk, so 5th and 6th get paste every day so the 2 little ones don't go hungry. And the second she was gone, the 4 of them started eating faster. They wanted to finish the bun in their hands and get away from the table. With mother out of the room, they were afraid of me and didn't want to be near me. So I put on what I hoped was a warm smile. "Eat slowly. Is it enough? If not, have more." And the little ones are younger and more forgetful. So Liu Minmin worked up the nerve to look at me. "Daddy, is there really going to be fish for dinner?" 4 hopeful faces. "Yes, we'll really have fish tonight," and she smiled. "Then Daddy, I'll eat less now. Can I eat more when we have fish tonight?" "Of course. Tonight we all eat our fill of fish." And my eyes welled up. A grown man. Sand in my eyes, apparently. I didn't want them to see it, so I shoveled a few bites of cabbage and left the table and went out and sat on the doorstep and stared at nothing. For some reason, I really wanted a smoke. She's 4. She's negotiating her rations across the day, eat less at lunch to bank room for dinner, because in her experience, more food later is a thing you have to plan around, not a thing that just happens. Behind me, Liu Yuer and Liu Lingling cleared the table, washed up, and swept the main room. 6 years old. Then I chopped wood, 50, 60 centimeter lengths, split down to size. It's hard work. I genuinely don't know how Lihua at her size has been doing it for years. With the Beast Taming Art, it's cake. Husband, have some water. It's the hottest part of the day. Don't get dehydrated. And that voice, usually cold, had something warm in it. She was a meter behind me with a bowl of cooled, boiled water. I drank the whole thing, wiped my mouth, handed it back, smiled. Go look after Xiao Wu and Xiao Liu. Weather's good. I'll chop 2 more bundles. And her voice went softer still. Don't overwork yourself. It's not urgent this time of year. Tomorrow we can leave the babies with mother, and I'll come with you. It's less tiring with an extra R hands. No need. This is a man's job. Don't worry about it. And she stood there in a daze. Because when she first married in, her husband was exactly like this. He never let her touch the heavy work. He used to say that exact sentence. She hasn't heard it in years. 10 more minutes and I was stacking the split logs when she stopped me. Husband, take a rest. Let us do this. And behind her stood all 4 daughters. And Liu Minmin said, Daddy, I can carry these logs. And the 4 of them gathered wood off the ground and brought it to the side of the house, and Lihua stacked it, piece by piece. And watching that, something came up in my chest that I can only call happiness. This is the scene I dreamed about. What does a multi-millionaire matter? What does a big city matter? If I could choose, I'd stay at the foot of this mountain forever and live the rest of it out simply with these people. Afternoon, 2 more bundles. This time toward the mountain where the wood's better. And I looked at the path going up and felt it. I have a hunter's skills. And I spent all these years lazy, living off my wife and my parents. If I went up there and took a few mountain rabbits or pheasants, maybe a couple of roe deer if I got lucky, wouldn't my whole family be fed? But my dog and my gun are both back at my father's. He took them because he was afraid I'd sell them for drinking money. Those 2 things were the most valuable assets I got when the household split. They're my father's lifeblood. He wasn't going to let me ruin them. Without a gun, I can still set traps on the outskirts. Go into those mountains without a hunting dog, and you're tired of living. I looked up that path one more time, stopped overthinking, and chopped. Coming home around 4 or 5, I passed the village's intelligence hub. Autumn harvest is done, so it's the slow season. Other years, the village or the commune organizes canal work or construction about now. This year, the team leader hasn't come to arrange it. The spring breeze hasn't reached this land, but some things are quietly changing. So about a dozen aunties, chatting in their free time, saw Liu Ming walk past carrying a bundle of firewood. And the most senior one actually asked, Ming Zi, did you just finish chopping wood? Yeah, winter's coming, gotta stock up for the Kong. Keep chatting, aunties, heading home. And they watched my back, and Moho, in their eyes, this was roughly as shocking as Iraq attacking the United Nations. But the village's famous lazy hooligan Liu Ming chopped wood by himself. And that bundle looks heavy. Then back to the bend in the river, shaded by big trees. Logically, there have to be fish here. The question was luck. I took the hemp rope and started pulling, and the second I felt the weight, I knew. 4 large fish, struggling in the trap. All right, I've kept my promise to little Min Min. I got it on my shoulder and hurried. Catching a few fish is no crime, but in this era, it's better not to be high profile. There are always naturally wicked people who can't stand to see anyone doing well, and they'll do all sorts of foul things. From a distance, I could see Lihua and the little ones cleaning the yard. There were wood chips everywhere from the splitting, and women can't stand a mess. And they saw me coming with the trap and all came over, curious. So I set it down, untied the slip knot at the bottom, and tilted it out. Ask me again when Min Min sees 4 fish hit the ground. 4 big fish, and a handful of crucian carp about 3 fingers wide. Wow. And I knelt down and tweaked both their noses. We're having fish tonight. And Lihua, who had not expected her husband to actually pull fish out of that river, let alone big ones, stood there looking at the ground with the exact same face as the 4-year-olds. Wife, these 4 are about 6 or 7 caddies each. I'll take a carp to Big Brother, then call father and mother over to eat with us. All right, pick a big one for Big Brother. He and sister-in-law have helped this family a lot over the years. Husband, how about we keep one alive and the crucians to eat later? She's being frugal, saving for next time. It isn't necessary. From now on, this family does not lack meat. No need. Keep the crucians. Tomorrow, I'll make crucian soup for Xiao Wu and Xiao Liu. We stew the 3 big ones today. I promised the daughters they'd eat their fill. Oh, when you gut them, don't throw the guts away. I'll use them to bait the spot tomorrow. I took the largest carp to my father's yard. Mother was making cornbread. Father was outside watching Wang Chai and her pup play, and he saw me come in with a fish that size and his brows came down. Buying a fish that big when it isn't even a holiday? That is not how a sensible person lives. He was going to scold me. Then he remembered the mixed doubles from last night and decided not to push the boy too hard. So he said nothing. Father, I made a fish trap today. Caught a few. Don't cook. You and Mother come to my house and eat fish. I'm taking this one to Big Brother. And he looked at 6 or 7 caddies of live carp hanging off my fingers and stood up out of his chair. Younger saying you caught the fish in your hand? Otherwise, did I go buy it? And I left. Father, remember to come over with Mother. I'm taking this while it's still alive. At my elder brother Liu Bao's, the kids called out, "Second uncle," which brought my sister-in-law Zhou Hua out. Sister-in-law, I made a fish trap and caught a few big ones. Brought you one. Where's Big Brother? She was surprised, then believed me. No formalities between family. She thanked me and took it. He went to chop wood. Should be back soon. A fish that size feeds their whole family tonight. And on my way out, I ran into my parents already heading over. My father carrying a bottle of bulk liquor. My mother holding a small bowl with a lump of snow-white lard in it. Good stuff. Cooking fish takes oil. I figured you were out. Don't let those fish go to waste. Understand that gesture. Oil is precious here. Yang planned its use. And her useless son said the word fish, and she went straight to the lard and carried it across the yard. Because the thing she was afraid of was that the fish might not be cooked properly. Mother went in to help. That left my father and me in the yard, where he picked up the trap and examined it carefully. Yang caught them with this? Yeah, I'll weave a few more tomorrow and set them in the river. I can make the openings flat and put them where the water grass is thick. Might even get a great turtle. Those trade for money at the commune. And he studied the inward-facing twigs at the mouth of it, and his lips curled up. He was very happy. Not bad. Compared to your elder brother, you do have a bit more wit. That's why, when we split the household, I gave you Wang Chai and the gun. A hunter's home never lacks meat, no matter the time. Then he glanced at me, dissatisfied. Except for lazy loafers, of course. But everyone only sees the glorious side of a hunter. They don't know that once you go into those mountains, it's hard to say whether you're the hunter or the prey. It's better now, with guns. In the years we relied on bows and traps to take those cunning beasts, 9.5 out of 10 hunters ended up lost in the great mountains. With your brother's honest nature, he'd be prey up there. Yang've got the potential to be a qualified hunter. It's just a pity you're a bit lazy, sigh, and I wasn't annoyed. Once upon a time, I dreamed about my father lecturing me like this. Father, don't worry, I know I was wrong. A real man doesn't prove things with his mouth. Watch my performance from now on. Your son won't tarnish your reputation as a lead hunter. And he looked at me suspiciously, and his tone went soft. I say, Yang are not acting like this because you got into trouble outside, are you? Trying to trick me into handing over Wang Cai and the gun so you can sell them for money? Liu Ming. Prejudice in a person's heart is a great mountain. Rome wasn't built in a day. I can only prove it slowly, through actions. Dinner. Seated by seniority. Father poured the liquor. One taste and you knew it was Mother's hand. The stew was flavorful. And the 4 little ones finally got the fish they'd been waiting for all day, mouths stained with fish soup. And they wasted nothing. They broke the big bones in the middle section by section to suck out the marrow. In these times, anything edible cannot be wasted in the slightest. A 4-year-old understands that. Father and I drank while he told stories about hauling the mountains in the old days. Mother and Lihua ate with one eye on the children, afraid of bones. Over 10 caddies of fish and a full pot of cabbage, and my daughter's bellies came out round. Meat in them, stomachs full, squinting with satisfaction. And Father looked at the 4 of them, doting, and turned to me, earnest. Ming Zi, whether they're sons or daughters, they're your own flesh and blood. Yang are the pillar of this home. Yang really can't collapse. I don't have much of my old savings left. This home will always have to rely on you to support it. That's the man who, in the life I already lived, kept going up that mountain on a lame leg, refusing my brother's money so nobody could say he was bleeding his eldest for his second son, until a boar caught him out there. He's sitting across from me with a bottle of bulk liquor telling me he's nearly out of savings. He isn't asking me for anything. He's telling me he's running out of time to keep covering for me. Ask me again when I go get my dog back. I know, I realized it yesterday. That talk about being a dead end without a son is pure bullshit. I will support this home, just watch me. Father got tipsy. His legs being what they are, Mother helped him back. Next morning, before dawn, cornbread dipped in yesterday's leftover fish soup. 2 pieces is breakfast. Then I took every length of hemp rope in the house, a handful of corn, the fish guts Lihua saved, and the trap, and went out. Reset the first trap. Then 3 hours weaving 2 more, these with flat openings. Mix the guts, with mud for bait. Then walk the bank, looking for the right ground. Turtles want dense watergrass, thick silt, plenty of vegetation. That's their favorite. Found it about 200 meters down. Set one against the grass, tied it, walked a few dozen meters, and set the other. Timing matters here. Unlike a fish trap, a turtle that crawls in can't get out and can't surface. It drowns in a few hours. And a dead turtle isn't worth what a live one is. Take a dead turtle to the commune and you might get nothing at all. Then another bundle of wood, because winter is long and this family needs a lot. A few hundred meters from home, I ran into 2 young men, and I frowned and stepped aside to let them pass, because the bundle on my back is wide. One of them is Blood, my uncle's son, same age as me. Liu Wei. We have never gotten along. And he saw Liu Ming carrying firewood and couldn't resist. Oh, has Ming Zi changed his ways? He knows to chop wood for winter now? Yang didn't cause some trouble at the commune and come home to act good, did you? I wasn't interested. I turned for home, and the bundle swung, and both of them had to duck. And behind me, at a volume calculated to carry, "What's the use of being hardworking? He's produced 6 money-losing girls. He's just a heirless." Grandma said that sooner or later, eldest uncle's house and property will belong to my family. And my footsteps stopped, because certain memories had just gone clear. Here's the extended family. My grandfather and grandmother had 3 sons and 2 daughters. My father is the eldest. There's a second uncle, whose family actually gets on with mine fine. After grandfather died, grandmother favored the youngest, so she's lived at third uncle's year-round and requires the eldest and second sons to send grain and money every month. Which would be fine. Providing for your parents is natural. If she's happy at third uncle's, let my father and second uncle send a bit more. Except third uncle's family got greedier and greedier. Using the excuse that grandmother is getting older and harder to care for, they kept demanding more from the 2 older brothers. A few rounds of that and the brothers' relationship went bad. And from then on, third uncle's family went around the production team telling everyone that Liu Ming has 4 daughters and will be a heirless. In the countryside, that makes it very hard for a man to hold his head up. Surrounded by constant mockery, Liu Ming got lazier. Until this spring, when 5th and 6th were born, and the entire team decided he was an even bigger joke, and he found he couldn't hold his head up at all. So he gave up, stopped working the fields, and started trading household items for wine. So that's the answer. Everybody in this village, including my mother, has a theory about why I broke. Hers is that my wife couldn't produce a son. The truth is that my cousin's family spent 3 years telling 2,000 people that my daughters were a defect, so that eventually my father's house would fall to them. They didn't take anything from me. They just said a word in enough ears, for long enough, until I did the rest myself. I originally wasn't going to bother with this bastard. I hadn't expected him to give an inch and take a mile and say it again. I dropped the firewood off my back and turned around. "Stop right there!" And Liu Wei turned, completely indifferent. "What else is it, older male cousin?" He found it strange. Every previous time he'd called Liu Ming a heirless, Liu Ming hurried away. Why isn't he running this time? I walked up and slapped him across the face. Slap! Then kicked him flat onto the ground. "Yang, a heirless, dare to hit me!" So I went in and kicked him several more times. "Heirless, heirless, I am your older male cousin. Call me a heirless again and I'll beat you to death." His friend rushed in to help. I turned and pointed at him. "Jiang Baoguo, this is a family matter between 2 brothers of the Chen family. Are you sure you want to interfere?" "Interfere and I'll break your legs today, believe it or not." And the 2 of them looked at this transformed Liu Ming and remembered something. That this is the ruthless man who used to go into those mountains hunting with Liu Jian, the top fighter in this village. They didn't know why my reaction was so extreme this time, but a wise man knows when to retreat. Zhang Baoguo gave me one weak look, hauled Liu Wei up, and they ran. 10 meters out, Liu Wei turned and roared, "Liu Ming, this isn't over between us." Low life, and I picked the bundle up easily and carried it home. Afternoon. Split yesterday's and today's wood, then out to the traps. First trap, 2 more big fish and 3 crucians. Reset it. Second trap, 2 crucians and a catfish, maybe a gin and a bit. Not big. Any harvest is fine. I'm not picky. This is all a gift from the heavens. You shouldn't be ungrateful and start picking and choosing. Third trap. I grabbed the rope and pulled it straight up. Whoa, big catch. A turtle. 20 to nearly 30 centimeters across. 7 or 8 gin, easily. A turtle that size is a rare find. And there's exactly one place you can turn a live turtle into money. Ask me again when I walk into the black market. My village falls under Qingshan town, about 15 li. At the walking pace of a strong laborer, a little over an hour if you move. So I was there by 5:30, when the black market hasn't closed yet. And thanks to several years of being a hooligan, in which I learned no other skills whatsoever, I know this place extremely well. Edge of town. Cluster of alleys. Turn through 2 of them, and there are 2 burly men standing guard. They went alert the moment they saw me. Only when I got close did one ask softly, "Brother, coming in to buy or sell?" I lifted the urea sack. "Sell." 5 cents. I knew the rules. I'd already set 5 cents aside in my right pocket. He took it. "Don't cause trouble." "Don't worry, I know the rules. I've been here before." There's another market outside town that only opens at night. Da Lei says the people there don't follow the rules as well as this one. Most of what moves there is illicit. This one's mainly daily necessities. The black market is, in fact, a large alley. Sentries at both ends and 2 men inside making sure nobody starts anything. 5 cents to sell, buyers don't pay. And it was peak time, plenty of people. And everybody knew to keep quiet. Young finds something suitable, you negotiate low, you clear the transaction, and you go your separate ways. I found a spot at the foot of a wall, laid the fish out, took out the turtle and tied its head with a rope, sat down. Food never has trouble selling here. 2 fish went for 1 yuan almost immediately. People asked about the turtle. I said 8 yuan. They shook their heads and left. I wasn't in a hurry. This isn't something ordinary folks can afford to eat. 8 yuan buys over 7 caddies of pork, which is what people actually want. Half an hour crouched there, and a middle-aged man in decent worker's clothes came over. Eyes lit up at the turtle, half squatted. "Brother, how much for the turtle?" And I sized him up. Clothes clean, even his shoes were clean. And his face didn't have the roughness of someone who spends the year facing yellow earth with his back to the sky. This one can afford it. 8 yuan! Caught it in the river myself. Look, still lively and kicking. This thing is very nourishing. Brother, that's expensive. There's not much fat on it, and it uses up oil to cook. Make it cheaper. I shook my head, determined. A good product needs the right buyer. I can see you're someone who doesn't lack for meat and oil. I don't need to tell you what this is good for. It's very nourishing, especially in that department. And I raised my eyebrows, conveying everything without words. He understood immediately, gave a lewd smile, and was then entirely straightforward. Fine, 8 yuan. A man's got to nourish himself when he needs to. Counted it out briskly. I handed over the rope, and he walked off fast, with an excited expression, looking like he couldn't wait to get home and nourish himself. Goods sold, I went shopping. The grain at home lasts a few days, and having been reborn, I genuinely do not have the face to go ask my parents for food again. 20 yuan on me plus 9 from today. First, the candy I promised my daughters, about 10 pieces. Then, white flour. I thought about malted milk extract, but the black market price without a coupon made me hesitate. Forget it. Wait until I get into the mountains and bring back something good. For now, just necessities. A caddy of fine salt, a caddy of cooking oil, the house is genuinely out. And with the last of it, a flashlight. A lot is changing this year. The spring breeze hasn't reached this place, but the higher-ups are turning a blind eye to things like this market. A few years ago, you'd have had to wear a mask to come in here. Nobody would have dared walk out as openly as I just did. I didn't even stop to see Da Lei in town. There'll be plenty of chances to catch up on brotherly ties. Right now, my responsibility is my own family first. Home by 10. And my daughters saw me coming with a sack more than half full and came running out to meet me. Lihua was in the courtyard sunbathing with Sixth. Fifth was lying in a simple cradle made by my elder brother. "Husband, you're back!" Inside, with all of them around me, I fished 4 pieces of candy out of my pocket. "All right, the candy I promised. Go outside and watch your little sisters." And they were beyond happy, and each one said, "Thank you, father," and went out obediently to watch number 5. Then I unpacked onto the table. "Wife, I bought white flour. We eat fine grain from now on." The coarse salt here always tastes a bit bitter. Fine salt makes the dishes better. Bought a caddy. We were out of oil. Bought a caddy. I need to get into the mountains, so I bought a flashlight and a few boxes of matches. That's it for now. Shortly, I'll set the fish traps, and this afternoon I'll go up and set some snares. As long as I can get into those mountains, I can always make money. In the future, this family will be able to afford things like malted milk extract and vanishing cream. Oh, and there's about 10 pieces of candy here. Put them away and give the girls one every 2 or 3 days. I'm mainly afraid they'll get cavities if they eat too many. Look at the shape of that day. He caught a 7-jin turtle, walked 15 li before dawn, paid 5 cents to enter an alley, and sold it to a stranger for 8 yuan using a wink. And he converted the whole thing into flour, salt, oil, a flashlight, matches, and 10 pieces of candy. And then rationed the candy, one every 2 or 3 days, out of concern for his daughter's teeth. A man who, 4 days ago, sold this family's winter grain to buy braised dishes so he could look generous in front of his friends. Ask me again when I go up that mountain with a flashlight and no gun. And watching her husband talk incessantly about salt and matches and cavities, her eyes went red, and she quickly handed me number 6. Husband, you hold her while I put these away. I have to hide the candy well. Number 4 has a very sharp nose. I'm afraid she'll find them. Yeah, I'll take 6 for a walk in the courtyard. And behind me, looking at a table with a caddy of oil and some flour on it, husband has really changed. It's so good. In the yard, I went over to number 5, lying in her cradle. I'd meant to tease her. She's the one who dies next year, because I didn't care for her when she got sick. She was sleeping soundly. I pinched her little cheek and she frowned and carried on with her sweet dreams. He walks over to a sleeping infant he watched die, intending to play with her, and she is too deeply asleep to notice him, and he lets her sleep. Lihua is a well-deserved beauty, and I was a famously handsome young man across 10 miles and 8 villages. So all our daughters will be beauties when they grow. Everybody says it, this girl is so pretty. I made oh, oh, oh noises at 6 until she giggled. Wife, I'm going to the river to set the cages. Yang, go ahead, be safe. Cages set. Lunch. A nap since I was up before dawn. 1:30, and I got up refreshed and prepared to go into the mountains. And Lihua had already laid my gear out that morning. Gaiters, hat, gloves. Because the Great Mountains are not a place just anyone can enter. That's why, in the famine years, with no food, people would rather dig wild vegetables and gnaw tree bark at the foot of them. They knew what was up there. Every delicacy, every animal, nobody went in. Because the people who didn't believe in the danger, or went in on a whim, died in there. The lucky survivors came out missing an arm or with a broken leg. Without a dog scouting ahead, you step into a cluster of venomous snakes, and one bite finishes you. Without gaiters and a hat, a single poisonous mosquito leaves you itching and poisoned, which is why any hunter who can actually work those mountains has one or several loyal hounds. That's a hunter's real insurance. Gaiters tied, hat on, blade, basket, canvas bag over the shoulder, and out in the courtyard, I called to the dog lying under the eaves. Wang Cai, we're going into the mountains. He can't talk to me through thought yet. He understands commands just fine, and I watched an excited light come into his eyes, and he was up instantly and out with a shoe. Husband, be careful. Don't go too deep. Don't worry, wife. I'm used to going in with father. Wang Cai knows those paths better than I do. He was hopping and skipping, completely unleashed, excitement past describing. Because this dog has been sitting in a yard while the man he belongs to drank. 40 minutes and the path ended. That's the real boundary. No trail, and ordinary villagers stop here. And Wang Cai stopped frolicking. Head high, clearing the way ahead, cautious. Hunting dogs split into high-headed scent and low-headed scent. A low-head keeps its nose to the ground, tracking. A high-head has a finer nose. It catches scent in the air and tells you exactly what the prey is. A low-head can't distinguish. Sometimes you think you're tracking a silly roe deer and it walks you into a pack of wild boars instead. Even a low-head is a treasure to most hunters. Autumn. Leaves withered, which makes entry enormously easier. With lush foliage, just clearing the path would tire out your blade arm. Half an hour deeper, and Wang Cai got excited. Rabbit droppings. An experienced hunter reads an animal's whole routine out of droppings in the ground around them. Small animals, rabbits, pheasants, keep fixed activity areas and fixed paths home. Setting a snare on the return path is where a hunter's skill actually shows. And Wang Cai proved what he is. No barking, no howling, no jumping. He just followed me carefully, silently, so as not to startle the prey into relocating. 5 slipknot snares in a 100-meter radius, the kind where a rabbit steps in, gets caught, and the branch hauls it into the air so it can't work free. Then half a kilometer deeper, and with Wang Chai's help, thick grass and 5 animal traps, each fixed with hemp rope, otherwise something gets caught and drags your trap away. And I scattered corn around them. And the way you scatter it matters. Less on the outside than a straight line leading in. So a pheasant follows the corn, pecking, and walks onto the trap without ever noticing. Then I backed out carefully. Whether we get braised rabbit and chicken soup tonight is up to luck, but you don't wait idly. These mountains are full of treasure. Yang could say they're full of money. Whether you can get that money depends on whether you have the skill. So I went looking. The black soil here is so fertile they say a chopstick stuck in it would sprout. Ginseng is a given, but only in the deep mountains. Be careful though, and there's plenty else. Short walk and I found wood ears on a tree. Small ones. Good stuff. Not like the cultivated wood ears of later years. Wild ones are smaller and thinner. The nutrition and the texture aren't comparable. And facing the mountain's bounty, I certainly wasn't going to be polite. Ask me again when the snares come up. Wood ears into the basket. Dry them, add them when you stir-fry meat, and the taste is superb. Even with no meat, they're good cold-dressed. Then lingji on another tree, which I didn't bother picking. Don't be fooled by the TV shows. In reality, lingzhi is common. Its medicinal value is nowhere near the legend, and it doesn't sell for much. Crucially, it tastes bad. Then 100 meters on, looking up, I found something that made me grin. 3 meters up a tree, leaves like green blades with a row of golden yellow down the middle. Howling grass. Botanical name, kidney essence grass, also called fossil grass or golden grass. Grows in damp rock crevices on Changbai, under the canopy, or parasitic on trunks. Narrow, sword-shaped leaves, deep green, yellow spores on the back. Yang, take it home, dry it, and drink it like tea, and it makes a person howl. As for which person does the howling, that can only be understood, not spoken. In short, if he's good, I'm good too. For kids who grew up at the foot of Changbai, climbing trees is basically innate. Who didn't go up after birds' nests? Heh, ptooey, ptooey. I rubbed my hands and went straight up, only 3 meters, easy. And I peeled it off carefully, along with the moss it was holding onto, and threw it down. Half that tree was covered, over 2 meters of it, a substantial amount. And the whole time I was up there, Wang Kai waited quietly below, ears pricked, listening to the surroundings. Then 50 meters on, frozen mushrooms, over a dozen, named for resisting freezing, also called yuan mushrooms, one of the 3 great mushrooms of the Northeast. Stewed with meat or in soup, the texture's a bit like oyster mushroom, but the broth is far fresher. And the best part? They don't grow high. Tallest was just over 2 meters, and I'm nearly 1.8. Just reach out. And that's where I stopped. Because I have a blade and no gun. Bad luck puts me in front of a wild boar or a black bear, and that's dangerous. He is standing in the outer edge of the forest that killed his father, gored him so badly the villagers found a body that wasn't whole, and he turns around because he doesn't have the gun his father took off him. Turned back, found a bit of wild ginger for the house, nothing worth much. Hunters spend the night up there all the time. It's normal. But this is my first time in alone, and I'm the pillar of this household now, and I do my best not to make my wife worry. Until I can get my father to hand the gun over, I'm not staying overnight. The trap patch. And I heard squawking before I got there. Wang Chai shot in. I followed. Jackpot on the first trip. The mountain god is providing. 2 at once, both female pheasants, adult hens, over 2 catties. Caught by the leg, rope holding, flapping and going nowhere. Neck twist. Blade across the throat. Held it upside down and let it bleed out completely before packing it. Move the grass and mushrooms into the satchel so the bird goes in the basket. Same with the second. Traps packed. Moving on. And before I even reached the snares, I could see a rabbit hanging in midair. Caught by the leg, upside down, and by the look of it, it had been there a while and was about to go. Untied it and gutted it right there. The walk home is over an hour, and I don't want the carcass spoiling from the inside. Opened the belly, pulled the organs out, and tossed them to Wang Kai, his well-deserved reward. That's the rule. Yang gets something in the mountains, the offal goes to the dog, so he works harder, and is more willing to risk his life the next time you're in front of prey. Of course, Wang Kai is my pet beast now. He'd be just as loyal and just as willing without being fed. He should still get what he's owed. Snare reset, rabbit in the basket, and Wang Kai put his head down and feasted, making satisfied grunts in his throat. And watching that made me very happy. At least it's better than last time. Last time, Wang Kai just died of old age at home. And I have always believed that dog died of a broken spirit. He sat in a yard for years belonging to a man who wouldn't take him out, and got old, and stopped. And now he's standing in the mountain with a blood-stained muzzle, eating what he earned. And when he finished, he raised his head and barked a few times, satisfied, and we went home. Village by dusk, courtyard quiet. I pushed the door in, and Lihua came quickly out of the kitchen, followed, as expected, by all four of them. "Husband, you're back? Quick, take a rest." And I laid the day out like treasure. "Wife, look what I got today." Basket down, rabbit out. "This one's at least 4 jin." Then both pheasants. Also snared 2 wild pheasants. And Jiang Lihua looked at it, and her eyes narrowed into slits, smiling. 4 days ago, this woman was pretending to be asleep while she listened to her husband steal the family's grain. Ask me again when the village finds out what the hooligan brought down off that mountain. "Husband is amazing!" And the daughters crowded in, touching the rabbit pelt, echoing her. "Daddy is amazing!" And Liu Minmin looked up at me with drool at the corner of her mouth. "Dad, can we eat the rabbit and the pheasants?" I crouched, pinched her cheek, and wiped her mouth. "Of course, Dad brought them back for Minmin and your sisters to eat. And this rabbit's pelt can be made into gloves, very warm in winter, so Minmin and your sisters won't get frostbite." And she nearly jumped. "Great! Frostbite cracks hurt so much, both painful and itchy. With gloves we won't get frostbite. Thank you, Dad." And then she tilted her head, pursed her lips, and kissed my cheek. Mwah! And I froze. Stood there like I'd been struck on a pressure point, touching my own face for over 10 seconds before I came back. She's 4. She knows what frostbite cracks feel like, painful and itchy, well enough to describe them, because she's had them every winter of her life while her father lay on the kang. And what she did about a promise of gloves was kiss him. "Wife, boil water, pluck 1 chicken, stew some soup. I'll skin the rabbit, we'll have it braised." Mushrooms and howling grass onto the table. "These frozen mushrooms and the mountain ginger are for seasoning. Tomorrow we dry the howling grass. When I've got more, I'll sell it." City folks value this stuff. Skinning a rabbit is cake for a man who used to go into those mountains with his father. Legs tied, hung upside down, blade to separate skin from meat, then peel by hand. Cut at the neck, and you've got a complete pelt. A wild rabbit pelt fetches more at the supply co-op than a domestic one. I'm not selling it. I'll sun it a few days and catch more later and make gloves for all of them, my daughters and my wife. Because for the past few years, while I ate and slept, every one of them developed frostbite on their hands. Now that I'm back, do I let them get frostbite again? Wouldn't that make my rebirth for nothing? "Wife, kitchen's yours. I'm taking the other pheasant to father and mother. This weather won't keep it fresh. Let them have some meat. Then I'll check the river traps." And Liu Minmin grabbed my trouser leg. "Dad, I want to go to the river too. I want to help Daddy catch big fish." So I scooped her up. "It's dark. Minmin can't go out. When our Minmin grows up, then you can help Daddy catch big fish, okay? Wait for Dad at home." My parents were eating. I walked in with the pheasant. "Father, Mother, the mountain god blessed my hunt today. 2 pheasants and a rabbit. I brought you a pheasant to stew tomorrow." And my mother was up instantly, at my side, looking me over carefully. "Yang went into the mountains? Don't go deep alone. Yang didn't run into anything unusual, did you?" And my father's dissatisfied voice cut in. "Old woman, what's strange about Ming Zi going into the mountains? Didn't he go with me plenty of times? With Wang Sai there, what are you worried about? Take the chicken." Then, after a moment's thought, "Take 20 jin of cornmeal over to Ming Zi's house." "Father, no. This pheasant isn't worth 20 jin of cornmeal, and this chicken is my filial." And he glared, irritated. "This pheasant is your filial offering to your old man. Your old man eating a chicken from you doesn't require trading cornmeal for it. Giving you 20 jin of cornmeal is because your old man is afraid his granddaughters won't have enough to eat." No more talk. Decided. All right, this old man used to being autocratic. Better not provoke him. Then I'll head to the river. I set traps today. Handed the chicken to my mother, turned, walked out, and at the door, "Young don't have any tools on you. Don't go deep into the mountains." I turned and caught a flash of concern in his eyes, and the second I looked, he dropped his head and started stirring his porridge. "Understood, father." And for some reason, there was a lump in my throat, and I got out of that courtyard quickly. And behind me, I heard my mother, "Husband, give him the gun. It was originally his share when we divided the family." And my father, intermittent, "What's the hurry? Who knows if he's just acting on impulse?" That's the whole thing in 2 sentences. He gave me 20 jin of cornmeal unprompted because he's afraid his granddaughters are hungry. He warned me off the mountain and then hid his own face in a porridge bowl so I wouldn't see he was worried. And he still won't give me the gun because he's watched me lie about being better before. Walking to the river with the flashlight, I looked up. Stars. Bright and crowded. A sky full of stars that don't exist in the time I came from. Farthest trap first. 2 medium fish, practically worthless. Too small even for soup. Pinched them dead, let the guts out as bait, threw the trap back. Second trap. Another turtle, about 2 jin. And a fish over 2 jin, a third of it already eaten by the turtle. Turtle tied. Half-eaten fish back in the river. First trap, the wide, slow bend, little grass. No turtle here probably, but it shouldn't lack fish. And I felt the weight before it even cleared the water. Another bountiful harvest. Several fish flopping inside, and without a second thought, I hoisted the whole trap and ran home, not caring that the water soaked half my clothes. Flashlight and turtle in the left hand, a large trap on the right shoulder. Running! And the kitchen already smelled of chicken and frozen mushrooms, and Lihua had just finished chopping the rabbit. Ask me again when I find out what a man does with the second turtle. Husband, so many fish again? We can't eat all this, and the weather won't let us preserve it. Oh, mother brought over 20 jin of cornmeal. Keep them alive in the water vat for now. I'll go up again tomorrow. If there's more, we sell these the day after. If not, we salt them. Didn't I buy fine salt? We eat them salted through the winter. I know about the cornmeal. Let her be. 5 big fish into the vat. The small ones straight to Wang Chai. Dinner. Strictly speaking, pheasant isn't as fragrant as a domestic chicken, drier, less plump. It is enormously better than the factory birds raised in cages on feed in the years I came from. High-end ingredients only need simple methods. Frozen mushrooms, mountain ginger, a bit of fine salt, and the broth is savory enough to swallow your tongue. Rabbit braised in soybean paste, with flatbread stuck to the side of the pot, so half of each flatbread soaks up the sauce. Eating that brings satisfaction up from somewhere deep. Wasting food is shameful. Every bit of oil in those chicken bones got sucked out. Lihua ate fast, filled up, then scooped a bowl of chicken soup, crushed a flatbread into it, and carried it in to feed 5th and 6th. They're 8 or 9 months. Milk alone isn't enough now. Chicken soup is good stuff. A bit of that and they'll grow fast. And I poured myself 2 ounces of loose liquor and drank it slowly. And all 4 of my daughters stopped, instinctively, with unease in their eyes. Because in their memory, when father drinks, his temper turns bad. He scolds them for being mere girls, for being money-losing goods, and tells them to get lost. And I understood it instantly. So I fished 2 chicken midwings out of the soup and put them in Liu Yuer's and Liu Lingling's bowls. Eat the wings! The meat on the wings is tender. Then 2 rabbit legs into Liu Xiaoyu's and Liu Minmin's. These are delicious too. Eat slowly, don't rush. And that erased. Get. Thank you, father, the eldest 2. Thank you, daddy, the little ones. And they put their heads back down into their food, and I let out a breath. That's the smallest, worst detail in this entire story. He didn't have to apologize. He didn't have to explain. 4 children watched their father pick up alcohol and braced, and all it took to undo it was giving them the good pieces. That's how low the bar was. That's how little it would have cost him. Every day. For years. Bath and bed. No television. Northerners don't stay up like Southerners. And Lihua had already laid out clean clothes for tomorrow and knew to wash what came off. Now that her husband knows how to shoulder this family, chores like washing are simply too easy for her. 4 in the morning, it starts getting light up here. By 5, the diligent ones are busy. This is the season for drying soybeans and chopping firewood, so most people are up early. Lihua reheated last night's dinner, timed for when I woke. Then I took the cage and the leftover entrails and headed for the river, and Wang Kai trotted after me. As my pet beast, he subconsciously wants to be wherever I am. And before we even reached the bank, there were several people standing at my trap. My elder brother Liu Bao, my cousin Liu Wei, and a few others, all men I've known since we were wetting our pants and playing in the mud. This team is big, so the peers split into groups. Mine is Da Lei, Ming Zi, brothers who take a knife in the ribs for each other. Liu Wei runs with Gao Daming and a few others. The 2 groups have never gotten on. At 13 or 14, we actually arranged a fight. So the secret of my trap is out, which is understandable. In the countryside, a husband and wife exchange a few words, and it becomes earth-shattering gossip. I've been pulling fish and a big turtle out of this river for days. Somebody saw. I ignored Liu Wei and went straight to my brother. Brother, Younger at the river too? He frowned, glanced at Liu Wei, and said, "Some people are jealous because you've been catching fish these past 2 days. I came to keep an eye out for you. I was afraid someone might just take your cage." And before I could answer, Liu Wei objected loudly. "Brother Bao, what kind of talk is that? Everything in this river is collective property. If you can catch things, we can too. We just lifted the cage to see what it looked like. We're all in the same team leaders group. It shouldn't be a big deal to learn how to weave a cage, right? If that's the case, then let's go ask the team leader whether catching fish in this river counts as encroaching on collective assets." And that's the threat. Not a fist. A word. Collective assets. In a year when the spring breeze hasn't arrived. My brother is a genuinely straightforward man. Doesn't talk much. Ask him to rush forward and fight these people, and he wouldn't flinch in the slightest. Verbal sparring is not his strong suit. Countered like that, he was speechless and just clenched his fists, ready to swing. "Brother, don't get agitated." I put the cage down and walked straight up to Liu Wei, eyes fixed on him. He'd been beaten by me the day before yesterday. Me walking over and staring at him like that scared him a bit. Then he remembered it was 5 against 2. So he straightened his back and met my eyes. "Young are right. Everything in this river belongs to everyone. It's none of my business if you want to catch things. But everything requires rules. Young lift my cage to learn how to make one. I won't say a word. But today, we make this clear. From now on, if anyone dares to lift my cage after I've set it down, don't blame me for not being polite." And Gao Daming, who leads them purely because he's the tallest, answered sullen, "And what if you're not polite?" And I narrowed my eyes. "If I'm not polite, I'll take you on." And my brother stepped back a pace and stood shoulder to shoulder with me, glaring, ready. And Wang Kai crouched into an attack posture, looking at Gao Daming, putting out a low growl, like the instant anyone moved, he'd go for Gao Daming's throat. Ask me again when somebody steps between us. Gao Lei stepped out from behind Gao Daming. "Don't be tense. We're all one team. We all grew up together. We're all men with families now. What we're thinking about now is how to make our own families live better. There's no need to cause trouble over this." Then he smiled at me. "Brother Ming, we just wanted fish to improve our meals. Your cage is really well made. We wanted to learn from it. Don't worry, we'll go back and make our own. From now on, we won't touch yours. There are plenty of big catches in this river. No need to make this life or death. If the second team finds out, won't they be laughing at our first team?" And that landed. Second team eased every face there. Also, Gao Lei is the accountant's son. He carries weight. Fine. Since Wei Zi says so, I'll say no more. But I propose one rule. From now on, whoever sets a cage where, we mark territory. Don't let me place mine and then put yours right beside it. That's just asking for trouble, isn't it? This river is long, plenty of spots, 1 section per person. What do you all say? They agreed, divided the water, and left, heading back for machetes to cut branches and weave their own. "Ming Zi, these guys aren't decent. Keep an eye on them." "Brother, the spot you're setting is next to mine. Cut some branches, make a few cages yourself. This backflow bend, the current's slow. It's a great place. Set one here. Can't say how many you'll get daily, but enough for your family to eat, and sometimes you can take some to the commune to sell. It's income." And he waved it off hastily. "I'll stick to my section. If you set an extra cage, you'll catch fewer than me. Your family has 6 children. Mine has 3. I'm not in a hurry." And that put a warmth in my chest. "Brother, listen to me. These river cages are useless once it freezes over. My focus is the mountains. Yang take the river. If the catch is good, just send me 1 fish." And he was not happy about that. He looked at me worried. "Ming Zi, catching fish and turtles is income. Yang should go to the mountains less. It's not safe." And then his eyes darkened. "That's true, though. Father said you were material for hauling the mountains, so he wouldn't let me go in." Alas. There it is. He spent his whole life knowing his father looked at 2 sons and decided one of them was made for that mountain, and it wasn't him. And the one it was spent the last 4 years drunk. And he isn't bitter. He came out here at dawn to guard his drunk brother's fish trap from thieves. Brother, don't dwell on it. If you want in, I'll take you when it's hibernation time. Going into the mountains doesn't always mean hunting beasts. Soon we can gather pine cones, get a few hundred, even 1,000, and sell the pine nuts in the county town before New Year. That's money too. Brother, I've figured things out. From now on, I work hard, earn money, support my wife and daughters, and shoulder a man's responsibility. If we brothers work with one heart, we'll make our lives prosperous. And that moved him. and he clapped my shoulder. Fine. As long as you've thought it through, I'll watch these cages for you. I geared up and headed in with Wang Zi, and Lihua had already baked flatbreads and filled a military canteen. A trip in takes a full day. The mountain god doesn't grant food every time. Supplies are essential. Water's less of an issue. You can find a spring, but it's better to be prepared. And on the way out, I passed Liu Wei's yard, where his group was weaving cages. Hey, Brother Wei, your older male cousin's heading into the mountains. He's quite bold, isn't he? And Liu Wei gave a cold sneer. Maybe he caught something in the river and got carried away, thinking he can go into the mountains and earn money. What good will it do? He's an heirless man. Even if he killed a black bear up there or found gold, it wouldn't matter. He has no prospects in this life. And then he got excited and leaned in, smug. The more he gets from that mountain, the better. My grandmother said it clearly. Once he's heirless, everything he owns will be mine. And Gao Daming and the rest immediately said that when that day comes, Brother Wei has to treat them to drinks. And Liu Wei waved his hand grandly. Drinks are a small matter. They won't stop until they're drunk. Only Gao Lei, laughing along, let a flicker of disdain cross his eyes. Cursing his own cousin as heirless, he should look at himself. Early 20s and still a bachelor. Young can quarrel behind closed doors. Saying this outside means you can't even keep your own family's front gate shut. This man has no hope of achieving anything. There's the whole engine, said out loud in a yard. They're not rooting against me. They're rooting for my success because they think the more I build, the more they inherit when the village finally agrees I'm a dead line. They want me rich. They just want me rich and finished. I knew none of it. I was already walking. With the river handed to my brother, I can put everything into the mountains. Honestly, even without that scene, I'd have taught him the trap in a couple of days. Father is dictatorial. He forbade my brother the mountains so my brother wouldn't dare. Fish is a fine income, and his family has been good to me. In my later life, through nearly 20 years of decadence, Liu Bao and Zhou Hua constantly propped up my household. Otherwise, how could Li Hua have raised 4 daughters and supported me? First snare spot, 2 rabbits hanging, one already dead and stiff, caught in the night, starting to smell. I didn't even bother gutting it. Into the basket anyway, feed the dog, use the entrails for bait, the hide's useful. The other, still breathing. Twist, gut, and I hung the entrails on a branch. If they're still there on the way back, I'll take them for my brother's bait. 3 rabbits from that spot. Nothing else is coming there now. Snares up. Then back to yesterday's pheasant ground. Pheasants are gregarious. There couldn't only be 2. More traps and quietly out. Over a small hill to a flat stretch, thick with wild grass. Experience says rabbits. And Wang Kai sniffed around, then barked and shot off. Found something! 20 meters and he was barking at a hole in an earth mound and pawing the ground. That's not a rabbit hole. By his reaction and the shape of the opening, it looks like a badger's. And a badger is truly valuable. Ask me again when I find out what's actually down that hole. Here's what a badger is worth. Treasure from head to toe. The fur is raw material for high-end coats, bright, warm, wear-resistant. Wear a badger fur coat in this village, and you are the most dazzling person anywhere you go. The meat, prepared right, beats wild boar easily. Though in this era, in ordinary hearts, no meat beats home-raised pork. Unquestionably number 1. Even tiger meat can't satisfy a craving like fatty pork can. But the most valuable part is the oil, a wonderful substance. Used directly as medicine, reduces swelling, relieves pain, clears heat, detoxifies. And for a burn, a scald, or frostbite, badger oil is a miracle cure. Remember, every hand in my house has frostbite. I knelt and sniffed the entrance. With the Beast Taming Art, my senses are far past ordinary now, and the faint scent settled it. Badger den. Since being reborn, my luck in the dark has genuinely improved. Digging out a badger is not something just anyone can do. It's a unique skill of every mountain hauling expert. Wan Chai, find the other entrances. Take your time. Don't miss any. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. Badgers are no less cunning. Their nests run several entrances, and the tunnels underneath are extensive and interconnected. To take them, you block the others and smoke them out. He gave me a very human glance, barked once, and went. And found the other 2. I blocked both and stomped them down to be sure. Wang Zi, guard that one. Don't let whatever's inside get out. And he trotted over, lowered himself at the mouth, and set to attack. Then, branches, green grass, dry leaves. Smoking is best done with 2 people. One smokes an entrance, the other covers a different hole with a sack, a net, a basket works. Badger can't stand it, bolts and runs straight into the net. I'm alone, so I do both. Matches to the leaves, dry branches on until the fire was crackling. Then I smothered the whole pile with green grass, moss with the roots on, and soil. Fire out, and a thick column of smoke went straight up. Then I took my coat off and started fanning it into the hole. Fanning takes real skill. Too fast and the smoke inside goes too dense and you suffocate the badger down there. Too light and the smoke's too thin and it won't come out. The right force is entirely experience. Every qualified expert has his own read on it. Only novices, who know nothing, frantically fan smoke in and kill it in the burrow. Then they have to take a hoe, widen the entrance, and crawl in to dig the suffocated thing out. That's why people say, digging out a badger. That's what the phrase is describing. Fan. Count to 3. Fan. 10 minutes. Nothing. I wasn't worried. Badgers are cunning. Wang Sai's barking and the noise of blocking the holes already alerted them. They're huddled together down there, trembling. They will not come out until the smoke is life-threatening. Mountain hauling requires stability and patience. 10 more minutes. Then Wang Sai rushed the entrance and barked once. I dropped the coat and got the basket over the hole. A hound's hearing is 10 to 20 times a human's. He heard something. Under 3 seconds, a black and white shape shot out and went straight into the basket. Mouth up, and I put one punch into its head. Clean, decisive, out cold. Basket back on the hole. Wait. Badgers are family animals. A litter runs 4 or 5, 6 or 7 if luck's with you. 10 seconds. Another one, into the basket, out. That one punch method works only for me right now. Badgers react extremely fast and their front claws are sharp. An ordinary man cannot do this. Reaction, speed, and power, all 3, indispensable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 badgers in 10 minutes. Waited a few more minutes to confirm the den was empty, then looked at the ground. These 6 alone might equal a rural family's annual income. They might not save that much after a full year of eating, drinking, and living. I weighed them by hand. Heavier ones about 30 caddies, lighter about 20. 6 comes to roughly 150 caddies. And then they became a problem. Drag them back like this, and what if they wake up and run? Never mind running, getting scratched isn't worth it. Kill them and drag them? They'll spoil and stink. Gut them here? 6 badgers. The blood smell is nothing like a pheasant or a rabbit. I don't want to attract large beasts, because I have 1 blade and 1 dog. The Beast Taming Art has made me equivalent to a top soldier, still within the human category. If I meet a tiger or a black bear out here, my entire combat plan is to shout, "Yang, come here!" That way, I die with a bit more dignity. So I took them home, chopped a straight sapling, 1.70 meters or 80, thick as a bottle. Roped all 6 by the feet, hung them upside down, 3 aside. Tow pole means that even if one wakes on the walk, it can't reach me. The basket was awkward with all that, so I hid it with a canvas bag to collect next trip. But before leaving, the fire. And putting it out, you must be careful. Not one spark can be left. In late autumn, a single spark could be a disaster for the whole mountain. So I checked every spark and buried them. Then balanced badgers against rabbits, squatted, and got the pole on my shoulder. Lift! 150 caddies of badger, plus the rabbits, plus the pole, nearly 200 caddies, and I stood up steadily. The beast taming art is simply too amazing. 4 days ago, this man couldn't get a bundle of firewood onto his own back without finding a high spot to stand under. Ask me again when Lihua sees what's coming through the gate. Never mind a man who's been a lazy bum for years. Even my former self would have struggled to stand up steadily under 200 caddies, and this isn't my limit. Wang Sai, let's go home. 2 of the badgers woke up on the walk and started struggling, so I set the load down, gave them 2 punches as a reminder, and took a break on a rock. Half the canteen in one go. And I looked at them and let out a silly grin, because I could already see my wife's face, my daughter's faces, and my father's, which will be wonderful. He's a famous marksman for 10 li in every direction, and he has rarely taken a haul like this in his entire life. Except the intelligence transfer station is on my way home, and it's never short of people. The first couple of trips, the goods weren't conspicuous, and mostly nobody paid attention because I'd become a lazy hooligan and nobody cared what I did. Today is different. Ming Zi, what are you carrying? Heavens, those are badgers, so many! And that ended my journey. A swarm of old women came over and, without regard for my consent, started touching them. Oh, Ming Zi's gotten capable. These are good things. Ming Zi's finally seen the light! Not lying on the Kong all day. Good, a man can't be useless. He used to go into the mountains with his father. If he keeps this up, his family will prosper. Ming Zi, you and Lei Zi are such good brothers. Why don't you let Lei Zi's son, my grandson, be your godson? Then you could take Lei Zi into the mountains with you. That's Lei Zi's mother, my fourth aunt-in-law. And toward most of them I could stay silent. When these people gossiped about me being heirless and mocked me as a lazy hooligan, they did not hold back. She never mocked me. Because of Lei Zi. Fourth aunt-in-law, Lao Zi and I are close brothers. His son is certainly my godson. But Lei Zi is out making big money with Da Lei in the commune and the county. Money in the mountains depends entirely on whether the mountain god grants a meal. He wouldn't care about meager earnings like this. Which saved her face, and she looks slightly proud. Alas, people are cheap when they leave their hometown. Even earning money outside, how can it compare to staying home? No matter how exciting or profitable it is out there, home is here, with a warm Kong for the wife and children. Her tone conveyed the exact opposite of her words. Everyone knows her. They all pursed their lips and said nothing. They understood. When these women gather, whoever's husband is more capable or whose son is more successful gets to show off a bit. Then an untimely voice cut in. Ming Zi, you actually trapped this many? Give me one. Your grandmother hasn't tasted meat in a month. Take one home to satisfy her craving. And walked straight up and reached for the rope. That's Guo Fenfeng, my third aunt, Li Wei's mother. The person at this station who talks about me being heirless more than anyone. And every woman there went contemptuous. She jumps higher than anyone when the subject is somebody else's dead line. And now she has the nerve to ask him for a badger? And she claims it's for grandma? The whole production team knows she and her husband are supported by that old woman, and that her two older brothers' families supply the grain and the money. That grain is enough for both elders to eat. Every part of a badger is treasure, and she wants to just take one. Truly shameless. Her hand got to the rope, and I slapped it away, open hand. Didn't you and your side take care of grandma? My father and second uncle have never failed to send the monthly money and grain. How can you set your sights on me, your grandson's generation? I didn't hold back much force. It hurt. Younger your grandmother's grandson, what's wrong with honoring her with something good? Why so much force? Does it hurt when you hit someone? What, you've grown capable? Got lucky in the mountains, caught a few badgers, and now you don't know how to respect your elders? Yong, try hitting me again! Third aunt, Yong don't think I'm as stupid as you, do you? Every part of this badger is treasure. The skin, the meat, and the oil rendered from it, that's at least 10 yuan an animal at the supply and marketing cooperative. And you want to walk off with one by saying the word filial? Yong've got some nerve. Get out of the way, I'm going home! And the old women sensibly moved aside. And Guo Fenfeng stood there glaring, staring at both ends of that pole with an unwilling expression. And her eyes darted, and she noticed that behind the badgers there was also a wild rabbit, already gutted. So she quietly stepped forward, lifted it off the pole, and turned to leave. A rabbit is 3 or 4 caddies, lighter without organs. Under 200 caddies, I genuinely did not notice. And every woman there watched her do it, watched her steal, and their disdain deepened. And not one of them said anything, because you can't offend a comrade from your own gossip hub over Liu Ming. Except Lei Zi's mother couldn't stand it. Ming Zi is brothers with my son. He calls me fourth aunt-in-law. I can't let him eat this loss in silence. I say, Guo Fenfeng, how can you secretly take Ming Zi's rabbit without his permission? I stopped and turned. Rabbit gone. And Guo Fenfeng walking away fast, back to me, hands clasped in front of her. Wang Cai, stop her! And he went out like an arrow off a bow, got in front of her, eyes red, low growl in his throat, looking 1 second from taking her. Ming Zi, didn't you say the badgers were the valuable ones? I thought the rabbit wasn't worth much, so I'd take it home so your grandmother could have some meat. I took it back and glared. If you weren't my third aunt, and if I didn't mind people laughing at the Chen family, I'd give you a few slaps to teach you a lesson. Her face went pale, then red. But between me and Wang Cai, she'd been frightened out of her temper, and she lowered her head and hurried off. I'll go home and tell my husband. This Ming Zi actually dares to scold his elders. I'll have my husband and that old fossil go over there and settle the score. Old fossil. That's what she calls the grandmother she was just using as a reason to take my meat. That's the family that spent 3 years telling this village my daughters were a defect so they could inherit my father's house. Ask me again when they come to settle the score. And then, from behind me, Ming Zi, there's so much badger meat, your family can't eat it all. Can I bring something later and trade for some? Sure, I'll prepare the meat after lunch. Bring what you've got. Grain, cloth, coupons, money, anything useful for daily life. I'm not picky. And behind me, fourth aunt-in-law announced to her comrades, Badger meat is delicious. I've still got vermicelli at home. I'll go trade this afternoon. I'll make stewed badger with vermicelli, give the family some nourishment. And then every one of them started working out what they could bring. And in the blink of an eye, the bustling gossip hub was deserted. Watch what just happened to me economically. 10 minutes ago, I was the village joke. I walked past that station carrying 200 caddies, and now the entire intelligence network of Kaoshan Village has gone home to fetch goods. I didn't advertise. I said, I'm not picky. Home. And Wang Chai started barking the instant we hit the courtyard, a bark that sounded incredibly smug, exactly like a victorious general awaiting praise, which brought out Lihua and all 4 daughters. And their mouths came open wide enough to fit an egg. The daughters' mouths could only manage quail eggs. Husband, you caught these? And I maintained a calm and indifferent expression, feeling immensely satisfied. Yeah, got lucky. Found a badger den. And Liu Minmin, no longer afraid of me, ran straight over to look and reached out to touch one. So I scooped her up. These are badgers. The meat is very fragrant. We'll have badger meat shortly. But don't touch them. Daddy only knocked them out. I'm afraid they might wake up. A badger's scratch is very, very painful. And Liu Xiaoyu pulled her hand back. They scratch people? They're naughty. Let's eat them later. And the usually quiet one said that, so I laughed. All right, we'll do as our Xiaoyu says and eat them later. Husband, how do we handle these? I don't know much about it. Go call Mother over. We'll be rendering badger oil, and Mother's an expert. And tell Big Brother's family to come for stewed badger. I'll skin them and separate the fat from the lean. And my eldest came up behind me softly. Dad, what should my sisters and I do? Do you need our help? Go get 2 basins, and bring out that plastic sheeting. Dad, I'll get them, Liu Lingling, already running, and they were very happy to hear they could help. Basins for the blood. Nobody eats badger blood. It's said to carry bacteria and parasites, especially flukes, and it keeps the courtyard from staining. Before the blood finished draining, my father came limping over at a brisk pace, moving faster than my mother behind him. Grandpa! He gave a brief acknowledgement and walked straight to me, pointing. Ming Zi! Yang, you caught all these by yourself? This morning? And my lips curled. Got lucky. Not long after we went in, Wang Sai found a den. Didn't expect 6 inside. Pure luck. Yang were alone. Even smoking them out, badgers rush out in a swarm. How did you catch all 6, without missing one? And I raised my fist, smug. Simple. Knocked each one out with a punch as it came out, dealt with them after. Knocked out with 1 punch. And that unsettled him. Because an ordinary man wouldn't catch it. But he's an experienced hunter who has taken plenty of badgers himself. They react fast. Their claws are sharp. 1 punch is almost impossible. And he was looking at my hands, not a single scratch on them, which is more astonishing. And then he stopped dwelling on it. Whatever method my son used, this is money. These 6 alone get his family of 8 through the winter easily. Maybe even a good new year. The rest doesn't matter. And he nodded. And the look he gave me was no longer the look you give a wayward son. Not bad. Your father was not mistaken. Compared to your elder brother, you truly have a certain spark of ingenuity. As long as you can shake that lazy habit, your life will flourish. I have to stop here for a second. In my previous life, my parents looked at me with disappointment and helplessness for 20 years. My father called me a scoundrel, an unfilial son. Then he went up a mountain on a lame leg and a boar killed him, and I never once heard this. This is the sentence I used to dream about. 4 days. My mother came in behind him carrying vermicelli, potatoes, and cabbage, obviously stewing ingredients. I'll do one now for the stew. Lunch might be late today. Wife, did you tell Big Brother's family? I took the fattest one. Skin it, separate offal and fat from lean. Lean for stewing. Fat for rendering. Offal to Wang Kai. He deserves a big meal today. I told sister-in-law. Elder brother's at the riverbank setting traps. He plans to wait there. She sent Lazy to call him. And my father stopped me feeding the dog. Ming Zi, the liver and gallbladder sell for money. Yang can't let Wang Kai mess them up. Dry them. The pharmacy will buy them. Got it. Then my brother and sister-in-law arrived with their 3 kids, and he was carrying 2 fish, so we're feasting today. She went straight into the kitchen. My two nephews stood beside me and watched me work, and the skinned hides went to my father and my brother, who stretched them on boards to dry, because they're from a mountain hauling family and they are experts at exactly this. 15 people in this courtyard now. Two nephews at the age where they eat a lot. Everyone eats well today. Ask me again when the whole village turns up at my gate with vermicelli. Ming Zi, how do we handle all this meat? 70 or 80 caddies by my count. Salt it all, and how much fine salt does that take? I passed the village entrance. Fourth aunt-in-law and the others asked to trade for meat. I agreed. Should move a few dozen caddies. Whatever's left, we salt. He nodded, then went slightly embarrassed. That works. But Ming Zi, if there's a lot left over, could you set aside a couple of caddies for your elder sister? Let her family have a good meal and replenish too. She and her husband are too diligent, in the fields every day. They need meat to recover. And I cursed myself, because in my rush to fix this house and win back my wife and parents, I had forgotten my sister entirely. She was good to me. She used to secretly bring things over to help, and it was not easy for the two of them, supporting her father-in-law and 4 children. Especially since her father-in-law watched her closely, afraid she'd divert family resources to me, and her husband is a filial son, so she could only comply. And she did it anyway. And later, after Lihua and my parents were gone, when I finally mended and started the mountain goods business, my sister and her husband actively lent me 100,000 yuan. At that point, I was an utterly useless, lazy hooligan. Only my sister's couple, my brother, and Da Lei's brothers weren't afraid the money would be wasted. They just gave it. Yes, send some to elder sister. She and her husband are diligent and frugal. They probably won't touch meat for a month or two. I'll take it now, said my brother. It's not far. If I hurry, I'll make it back for the meal. 5 caddies, roped, and he went straight out towards second team. And my father was very satisfied watching that. All his children married, and the kinship among the siblings hasn't changed. That's rare in the countryside. It proves the head of the household was capable. Then the trades came. Fourth aunt-in-law first. Vermicelli, potatoes, cornmeal. I gave her an extra caddy over the normal rate, which made her extremely happy. And the moment she left, the entire intelligence network arrived. All sorts of things. One even brought cloth. Cloth is good out here. Cloth coupons are hard to come by. And they could all smell the meat stewing, and even though they'd just eaten lunch, they were swallowing. And a torrent of rainbow flattery came out of them like it was free. Brother Jian, only Ming Zi has the ability. All that meat from one trip. Ming Zi, next time you go in, call my boy along. We grew up together. I know his background, so I can trust him. This is a prodigal son returning, worth more than gold. Brother Jian and his wife can enjoy their old age in comfort now. He learned Brother Jian's mountain hauling skills perfectly. One trip like that, our family would have to work a whole year. And my father was inwardly ecstatic and maintained a humble expression. Ming Zi was just lucky. Mountain hauling has many intricacies. He still needs to practice. By the time the last one left, there was less than 10 caddies of meat on the ground, and the table in the main room was piled high. Cornmeal, vermicelli, potatoes. With just what's on that table, managed carefully, this family gets through the winter comfortably. 4 days ago, I sold this family's winter grain for braised dishes. 12 at the table squeezed in. Badger, vermicelli, potatoes, fish, flatbreads from the side of the pot. Children ate to their heart's content. Father, brother, and I each had a cup, and we ate and talked. And for a scene that had only appeared in a dream, I drank in larger gulps than I meant to. And when the kids cleared out, the women started rendering the badger fat. Rendering is delicate. Fascia and blood clots must be carefully trimmed, and the heat control is a real test. Scorch it and you directly damage the selling price. And my mother started teaching Lihua the details. Now that my sons become diligent and might bring badgers home again, these tips have to go to the daughter-in-law for future use. Understand what that is. My mother has given that woman a cold shoulder for years. Not out of cruelty, she's not the type to torment a daughter-in-law. It's that Lihua bore daughters, which made her son lose face, which made him lazy and hopeless. That was the whole theory. And now that her son looks capable again, her tone toward Lihua has softened. She's teaching her the oil work, which means she's teaching her something for next time, which means she's decided there will be a next time. And seeing my father in high spirits, I toasted him and asked carefully, Dad, winter's almost here. It'll start snowing. That's the golden season for hauling and hunting. Can you give me the gun? I want to use the good weather to get some big game. By next spring, I want eldest and second to go to school. Tuition, notebooks, pens, all of it takes money. What do you think, Dad? And he picked up his cup, took a sip, and said nothing, clearly considering it. Ming Zi, this gun was given to you when we divided the family. Logically, it's yours. But look at yourself these past few years. Without me, your mother, your older brother, and your older sister, your wife and daughters might have starved to death. And I stood up, guilty. Dad, I know I was wrong. I won't say much more. Yang can see my performance from now on. And he nodded, satisfied. These past few days, you've looked like a real person, showing some of the responsibility of a head of household, of a man. All right, later I'll have your mother bring the gun over. But you haven't touched a gun in almost 4 years. Practice at the mountain perimeter for a few days first. Your old man kept it well maintained, but there are only about 20 rounds left. Yang will have to buy more. I'll sell the badger oil tomorrow and buy bullets on the way back. And then my brother, seeing the guns settled, mustered his courage. Dad, I want to go into the mountain with Ming Zi. No, Yang cannot go into the mountains. Instantly, and his eyes dimmed, and he lowered his head, and my father, afraid of hurting him, softened. Junzi, it's not easy to enter those mountains. It looks glorious, like Ming Zi today. But you know that once a man goes in, it's really hard to say if he comes out in one piece. It depends on whether the mountain god blesses you. Your nature is too straightforward. Yang aren't cunning enough. Those beasts are all cunning, and in that, you don't compare to Ming Zi. Yang are the pillar of a family too. If something happens to you, what does your wife do with 3 children? I was listening, initially feeling a bit proud, and then the meaning started to sound off. Does Dad mean my nature isn't straightforward? That I'm too cunning? Look at my face. It looks honest and simple. Dad, Big Brother and I already planned this. When the snow comes and the river freezes, the traps are useless. Then we go in together. An extra man to look out for each other is good, and staying cooped up all winter is worse than going up. If we get something, Big Brother's family lives a little better. And my brother nodded heavily. Yes, Dad. We all know what it was like a few years ago. Weizi and Huazi not getting to study was just bad luck for them. But the village elementary school is starting up again. Next year I want Mei Mei to go to school, to learn some culture. Our generation's staying at the foot of this mountain for a lifetime. That's our fate. I want Mei Mei to learn more so she can write characters and see the world outside here. The man who can't get 3 words out if you poke him with a stick just said all of that. And he isn't asking to go up that mountain for meat. He's asking because 2 of his children already missed their chance at school, and the schoolhouse has reopened, and he has 1 left, a daughter, and he wants her to see something other than this. And my father looked at his eldest son's determined face and knew he couldn't stop them. Forbid it, and Junzi would still obey. He was afraid his eldest son and his grandsons would hold resentment toward him later. Ask me again when I take that gun back into the mountain. Fine. Since you 2 have planned it, I won't say more. Ming Zi, bring Hua Hua next time you go in. It's been guarding a gate for 5 or 6 years. It's been wronged. Let it get familiar with the mountain first. It'll help you both later. Then he turned to my brother. Junzi, since you're going in, Hua Hua is yours. We've also got a 1-stone recurve bow at home. That's yours too. However, when we divided the property, your younger brother got Wang Chai and the gun, but the house, grain, and money you received were more than his share. If I give you this dog and this bow, then in the future you give your younger brother the money you owe him. I, Liu Jian, don't have many skills, but I can say I have treated you 2 brothers with perfect fairness. And I sat there admiring him, because in the life I already lived, after Lihua worked herself to death, this old man still went up that mountain to set traps to support himself. And my brother, watching that, offered him a monthly pension, and he refused on the spot. Afraid people would say he was bleeding his eldest son to support his younger son, he'd rather go alone into the place that eventually killed him than let anyone say that sentence about him. And something went tight in my chest. Dad, don't worry about that. Big Brother and I are real brothers. We don't haggle over these things. If we're calculating that finely, you and Big Brother helped me quite a bit these past few years. Shouldn't that count as money I owe you? And he glared. It's good that you know. I hope you've truly changed, or I'll break your legs. Dad, look at you. Saying things like that at such a happy time. Let's drink. And I raised the cup, and Wang Chai started barking. At my courtyard gate, my grandmother, my 3rd uncle, Liu Guang, and Liu Wei, all 3 looking at me grim. And my heart skipped. obviously here to cause trouble. Not that I'm afraid of them. With my current fitness, I could take Liu Guang and Liu Wei with one hand. The problem is that my father just agreed to give me the gun, and I do not want a mishap at this juncture. They're close relatives. I can't leave them standing outside. Wang Chai, stop barking! Let them in. And he turned around, walked to his dog bowl under the eaves, plopped down in front of it, and ignored all three of them. And my grandmother, passing him, glared and cursed. This beast doesn't even recognize its own family. Mother, why have you come over? And she glanced at the half-eaten stewed meat on the table, smelled it, secretly swallowed, and plopped down on a stool. The eldest son is eating meat, and I, his mother, can't come? Can't I even grab a couple of bites? And my father went embarrassed and ashamed. I'm sorry, Mother. Today Ming Zi invited everyone for meat. If I were the one eating meat, I'd have invited you to the main seat beforehand. Eldest son, are you saying Ming Zi's family is eating meat, but I can't come and eat? And he was stumped and flustered. That's not what I meant, Mother. Yang or his grandmother. Of course you can come. Watch that. She walked in, complained about being excluded from a meal, and in 3 sentences had a man in his 60s apologizing to her in his son's house. So I walked over. Grandmother, what exactly are you here for? Just say it, we haven't finished eating. Ming Zi, how are you speaking to your grandmother? Have you no sense of propriety? Toward grandmother, the highest-ranking relative in this family, my father and I are both somewhat helpless. Toward Liu Guang, I have no intention of being polite. I am speaking to grandmother. Shut your mouth. Liu Ming, how dare you speak to my father like that? Shut up. Say one more word and I'll break your legs. All right, stop arguing. We're all family. What does this look like? My father, roaring. Then, Mother, Yang and third brother, what business do you have here? Say it directly. And she glared at me with her triangular eyes. At noon, when Ming Zi came back, he ran into your third aunt under the locust tree. Not only did he curse at her, he set his dog on her. Jiang Zi, this Ming Zi is becoming more and more unruly. Can you control him or not? Today, Mother has come to ask you. If you can't control your son, then I will invite the elders of the Chen family to discipline him and teach him some manners. What respecting elders means. And my father looked at me, brows tight. Ming Zi, what exactly happened? Did you really set your dog on your third aunt? So I snorted and told the whole room exactly what happened. At the time, I was considering the reputation of our Chen family. Otherwise, for third aunt's thieving, if there hadn't been so many outsiders watching, and if I didn't mind them laughing at us, What else do you want? And I looked at Liu Guang. She stole my rabbit, so I slapped her twice. So what? And he trembled, pointing. Good! Yang, little brat, you've rebelled, daring to speak to me like this. Why wouldn't I dare? They say showing up halfway through a meal makes you an uninvited guest. Yang all look like you're here to cause trouble. How else should I speak? Does your wife have the right to steal? I think you've thrown away all your dignity. There are no outsiders here today, so I'm not afraid of people laughing. Say one more word and see if I don't teach you a lesson. And Liu Wei couldn't stand it. Liu Ming, you airless thing, you dare curse my father! And he regretted it the instant it left his mouth. Because it's fine to joke about privately. Saying airless to your actual older male cousin's face puts you in the wrong, no matter how you look at it. He didn't have to regret it long. I moved unbelievably fast and kicked him in the stomach. He went backward 2 meters like he'd been hit by a truck, landed flat on his backside, and immediately threw up the lunch he'd just eaten. Yang, dare to strike! Liu Guang swung. I was about to swing back. Ming Zi! Yang are not allowed to hit your third uncle. So I lowered my fist and dodged away. And my father came across the room in 2 strides on a lame leg. Yang, go deal with that brat Liu Wei. Your third uncle is mine to handle, and slapped Liu Guang across the face. Who is Liu Jian? A famous mountain-hauling hunter for 10 li in every direction. Known for taking black bears, badgers, and big boars. Lame leg or not, in a fight, he handles 2 of Liu Guang easily. And my grandmother stood to intervene, and my mother rushed out, grabbed her, and cried, Mother, don't be angry. Fists and kicks have no eyes. Don't hurt your old bones. Your daughter-in-law will protect you. That is the single most beautiful sentence in this entire story. She has that woman completely restrained, arms locked around her, while calling it protection. So, grandmother held, third uncle pinned to the floor, taking a punch and a slap alternately. My brother standing over them with clenched fists in case our father needed help. and I walked out to Liu Wei and raised my hand. Heirless. Heirless. Yang are a grown man and you don't even have a wife, and you call me heirless. Heirless. I am. I am. I am. Ask me again when the Chen family elders arrive. Ming Zi, that's enough. My father behind me. If you swell his face up, it won't look good when he goes out, and it's the Chen family's face that's lost. So I stopped and left one thing in Liu Wei's ear. If I ever hear you say heirless again, I'll make sure you can't get out of bed for the rest of your life. And that time he was genuinely terrified. Back inside, my father on a stool, my brother beside him, third uncle on the floor. Third brother, when father passed, mother said she'd live with you in her old age. Yang asked me and second brother for grain and money. I didn't object, even as you asked for more and more. But what you've been doing these past 2 years is increasingly disgusting. Father is gone, but I, the eldest brother, am still here. Today I taught you a lesson. Are you convinced? Even if you're not, you'll swallow it. I'm only lame, not bedridden. Cause trouble again and I'll discipline you like when we were kids. Then he turned to my grandmother. Mother, at your age, stop meddling in so many affairs. Focus on your retirement. If you make me lose heart, I'll find the captain and have you rotate among the 3 of us for lodging. Or your retirement grain will be given only according to the normal village allotment. Then he paused and softened. Mother, the palm and the back of the hand are both flesh. Aren't you afraid of others gossiping about you? And that ended it. They came to demand an explanation and take badger meat home. They left with Liu Guang helping Liu Wei walk. And grandmother, afraid of losing face and startled by my father's tone, left by herself, quickly. Because she knows her eldest son. Normally, he's extremely filial, respects seniority, and speaks in a loud voice. And when his voice stops being loud, when it goes calm, it means he is truly furious. And if it really came to 4 months at each son's house, or the normal grain allotment, how would she subsidize her youngest son's family then? That's the whole thing. She wasn't defending her grandson's honor. She was protecting a revenue stream. Nobody had any interest in drinking after that. We picked at a few dishes and finished. My mother taught Lihua the oil work. My 4 daughters came out to clean, and my brother's daughter Mei Mei took a broom and helped sweep. Girls in the countryside have awareness from a young age. They see what needs doing and do it. Boys, apart from heavy field labor when they're grown, are much lazier young. Case in point, Weizi and Huazi had gone out to run wild. I'm going back to rest. Your mother will bring the gun tonight. Remember to take Hua Hua next time. And my brother went to the river, worried about his 3 traps. I took the woodcutting knife and went out, because I wanted to build Wang Tai a kennel. He's my first pet beast. I can't let him suffer. Branches from the foot of the mountain, where there's choice, the right thickness, the right flex, which meant passing the intelligence station again. And this time, every one of them greeted me, actively and friendly. This Ming Zi doesn't act like a lazy hooligan anymore. He knows how to hunt. In the future, if he gets something good, we can trade for meat. Buying at the commune takes money and coupons. Trading with Liu Ming, anything useful to a family and he won't dislike it. Where else do you find a deal like that? I answered every ante one by one, steady, not arrogant, and behind me they started saying I'd changed, looked more mature, steadier. And then, since somebody had surely seen Liu Guang and Liu Wei go home with bruised, swollen faces, the topic naturally turned. And they got more thrilled than if the country had handed out free meat. It's a good thing my mother doesn't gossip like this, and my wife has a cool temperament and would never come to this station. If they turned into these old women, I would be truly miserable. Home, small stool, and I wove a kennel. The Beast Taming Art says a contracted pet beast is constantly washed and strengthened by internal energy, far beyond ordinary beasts in size, combat power, and intelligence. So I built it right the first time. Large. 2 hours. Then I wrapped it in old cotton batting, plastered thin mud over that, and left it to dry. Wang Kai has his own house now, and as I stood up, my mother came into the yard carrying what looked like a large wooden stick in both hands. It wasn't a stick, it was a gun wrapped in cloth. Mother, you brought me the gun? My voice trembled slightly. Take it, are you happy now? Your father kept this gun very well preserved. He used to take it out and fiddle with it every so often. Young too, father and son, your personalities, your tempers, even your hobbies seem carved from the same mold. Then she pulled a small paper packet out of her pocket. Here, the bullets. Mother counted them for you. There are 28. Keep them safe. He said 20. She counted them herself and there are 28, and she wanted me to know that. Ming Zi. Yang, know how much your father treasures those 2 dogs and this gun. He says this is the life of a mountain hunter, his most important possession. Since the family division, it's all been handed to you. Yang absolutely cannot have any other ideas. Otherwise, your father really won't acknowledge you as his son. Yang, know your father's temper. Tactful. I understood exactly what she meant. Mother, don't worry. Your son is usually unreliable, but I've truly changed. Just watch. In the future, I'll go up and hunt big boars, black bears, and big tigers for you to stew in rotation, so you can taste all that meat. I was confident. With a Type 56 semi-automatic, the Great Mountain is dangerous, but I can go anywhere. So my tone was a bit boastful. The boasting lasted 3 seconds before her slap landed square on my back with a crack. Quiet down. Even with a gun, you do not go deep into those mountains. The gun is to make you safer, for small game, for digging badgers, things like that. Those things you mentioned are not that easy to hunt. Mother only hopes you stay safe. Yang, have 6 children pressing on you. Your father and I can still manage and help you a bit. Yang must not rush into the deep mountains after big game, just for money. Remember that. Alone, I unwrapped it on the table. A Type 56 semi-automatic, practically 9/10 new, barrel clean. And picking it up, I could still smell the faint scent of gun oil. He maintained it perfectly. For 4 years, while the son it belonged to lay on a kang and drank. He took it out and fiddled with it every so often and oiled it and counted the rounds and put it back. He wasn't confiscating it. He was keeping it ready. I aimed it out the window, got a feel for it, and wrapped it back up. 4 in the morning, and I left with the badger oil, the turtle, and the fish. 27 or 28 gin of oil rendered yesterday, in a ceramic jar whose mouth Lihua sealed carefully and tightly with cloth. An hour's walk to the commune, 5 fen to enter the market. Turtle and 4 fish, 7 yuan. Then straight out and onto a vehicle toward the county seat. Badger oil is valuable. The commune is too small a place. 15 kilometers to Baishan County. In the future, that's a half-hour bus ride. Now, swaying and rocking, if the vehicle doesn't break down midway, arriving within an hour is considered lucky. Ask me again what 28 gin of badger oil is worth to a man in a county town. The bus was full of an indescribable stench. I got lucky. A window seat. Basket in front of my feet, body against the glass, head turned to the window, breathing whatever came in. Buses now drive very slowly, hoping to pick up a couple more passengers along the way. And the roads are a mess. The speed makes you want to get off and run, which might genuinely be faster. But it didn't break down. County seat by 9:30, and I didn't crowd. I waited until most had gotten off, then carried my basket down. In this era, the liveliest place in any county isn't a mall. It's the bus station and the train station. Where there are many people, all sorts of characters gather. So I carried the basket in front of me and walked out at a steady pace, looking straight ahead. Those characters size people up too. Act timid, or look like a country bumpkin visiting the city, glancing around everywhere, and you become the target. State-run traditional Chinese medicine pharmacy, next to the county hospital. 10 minutes at my pace. Being near Changbai, this place does good business. 3 connected storefronts, over 100 square meters, 5 clerks. Clerks now don't have the temperament they used to. Short-tempered. They don't smile. Comrade, do you purchase badger oil? And she glanced at me, and perhaps my height and my face made her more cheerful, because she actually showed a hint of a smile. We do. Does the comrade have badger oil to sell? The theory that good looks equal justice is useful at all times and in all places. Jar on the counter, red cloth off, full of oil. Please wait, I'll call our team leader to determine the grade. And she came back with a middle-aged man, about 40, whose face was so stern an outsider would think somebody owed him money. He glanced at me faintly, then bent to the jar, smelled it, then scooped some with his right hand and smeared it on the back of his left. Not bad. Color is bright and transparent, not cloudy, no impurities. Smeared on the hand, it has very good oily smoothness and a faint fragrance. It is top grade. Yanmei, purchased at the grade 1 price. And he left without looking at me again. I didn't mind at all. He's a bit arrogant. He is also knowledgeable, and his evaluation was fair. Comrade, grade 1 badger oil purchases at 3 yuan 8 mao per jin. Any objections? Please go weigh it. No objections. Jar and all, 34 jin. After negotiation, the jar was deducted at 5.5, 28.5 jin, 108 yuan, 30 mao. With the ceramic jar, 110 yuan. Understand that number. 110 yuan. Rice is 70 fen a jin. Fat meat is 120. A badger is worth 10 yuan. A man's entire annual income out here is what 6 badgers came to. And I made 110 off the rendered fat in one morning. And handing it over, she volunteered something. It's really great when comrades like you come. Selling badger oil after one trip into the mountains is like earning our several months' salary. It truly makes one envious. May I ask where the comrade is from? And her face flushed slightly after she said it. I counted the money, put it carefully in an inner pocket, and smiled. We risk our lives entering those mountains. Whether we have a harvest depends on whether the mountain god grants us food. It's you comrades with the iron rice bowl of the 8 big departments, eating state-supplied grain. That's what makes people envious. I'm from Qingshan village, at the foot of the mountain. Thank you, comrade. If I have anything else to sell, I'll trouble you again. No trouble at all. In future, you can look for me. My name is Xu Yanmei. I've noted it. Goodbye, comrade Xu. And the moment I left, a clerk in her 30s walked over to her, teasing, "What's this? Did you take a liking to him? He is handsome, and he doesn't look like an ordinary country person. Pity he's just a country person. He wouldn't be worthy of our Yanmei. Never mind anything else. Your father wouldn't approve." Sister Li, don't speak nonsense. If this reaches my father's ears, my mother will nag me for days. She's single-mindedly focused on marrying me off right now. It's driving me crazy. Then I went straight to the department store. Because I have money now, and there are things I have wanted for my family for 20 years. What is money? Money is a son of a bitch. Earn it again after you spend it. Didn't I go into those mountains precisely so my wife and daughters could live well? Malted milk extract, milk candy, white sugar, clam oil, all of it, in one go. That's the malted milk extract he hesitated over at the black market 4 days ago, because it needed a coupon and he only had grain money. I wanted clothes, no cloth coupons, had to give it up. So instead, a small mirror, a hair clip for my wife, and 4 hair ties for 4 daughters. Soy sauce is valuable now, and dishes cooked with it are delicious. 2 bottles. And only after all that did I go to the supply co-op and buy 50 rounds for the Type 56, 40 yuan left. Bus back was in the afternoon, so I ate a bowl of cold noodles next to the station, bought my ticket, and found a stool to wait on. Back at the commune by 4, where I thought for a moment and bought 10 caddies of bulk liquor and hurried home carrying large and small bags. Home before dark, and the first thing in my courtyard was a large pile of chopped firewood, and my 4 daughters handing wood to Lihua, who was stacking it neatly under the eaves, and they stopped and called out, "Father!" The little ones grow fonder of their father by the day. "Lihua, didn't I say I'd handle heavy chores like chopping wood? Why did you go out and chop again?" And she smiled, sheepish. 5th and 6th still can't be away from their mother. There's the answer, and she doesn't even hear herself say it. She can't carry the babies up the mountain, so she can't go with me. So while I'm gone, the only thing she can do is the thing that has been killing her for years. I bought her a hair clip today. She spent the day chopping wood so I wouldn't have to. Ask me again when she finds out what's in the bags. Turns out she hadn't chopped that wood at all. Big Brother had come by with GLA and put in most of a day on it, because we'd fed him meat 3 days running, and I'd taught him to weave a fish cage, and the man is physically incapable of holding a favor without paying it back at interest. Give Liu Bao a sandwich, and he re-roofs your house. He doesn't talk. He just shows up with an axe and fixes your life and leaves. So I stacked wood in my own yard as a thank you for wood I didn't chop, which is the most 1978 sentence I've ever said out loud. Then I turned to the 4 small ones with my mystery face on. Guess what father bought? Liu Yuer went first, the eldest, the one who speaks about as often as a solar eclipse happens. Candy. Reader, my daughter has a prediction model now. 2 data points and she's forecasting. I flicked her nose. Yuer's too smart. White rabbit, milk candy, inside. Liu Minmin followed clapping and skipping and opening negotiations simultaneously. I want 2, which is a strong bid from a 4-year-old with no leverage and no assets. Then I did the basket like a magic act. Malted milk extract. All of you drink it, you're built like coat hangers. Clam oil cream, for skin, because winter here sands a face down to the primer. Hair clip, for my wife. 4 red hair ties, reds festive, 1 each, no litigation. White rabbit, delicious, and rationed because I'm not funding a dental crisis in a village whose nearest dentist is a rumor. Then I unwrapped one and held it out to Lihua like she was the fifth daughter. Open up, tell me if it's sweet. My wife went the exact color of a stop sign, took it anyway, nodded, very firm, eyes going red at the edges. Yes, very sweet. She's 20-something, and I'm fairly sure that's the first thing anybody ever handed her that wasn't a chore. 4 candies, 4 girls, 1 each, 1 every 2 days, no exceptions. A treaty I knew I'd be renegotiating by Thursday. They sat there with candy in their cheeks and red ties strangled in their fists, eyes narrowed into happy little slits. Father is so good, said Liu Lingling. Liu Lingling, the second one, the one who doesn't speak. I did not react. Because if I reacted, she'd never do it again. 10 out of 10 dad move, 0 out of 10 internally. Then Liu Yur took her sister's hand and marched the entire toddler workforce out to sweep the yard, unprompted, because in this house, even joy comes with a chore rota. Lihua went to warm the food. Big brother had left another fish, so she stewed it in yesterday's meat broth, because nothing in this kitchen is allowed to die without being used 3 separate times. I stood in the doorway watching 4 kids sweep and 1 woman cook, and I thought about the company. The car. The driver. Being a big boss couldn't touch this. Not on its best day. I walked the liquor over to Father's and split it. 5 caddies his, 5 mine. The plastic bucket alone cost a full yuan, which offended me spiritually, and which I paid. He was pleased. He didn't say he was pleased. He said pour it in the jar, which in Liujian is the same sentence. How much did the fat go for? Sit, eat, there's fish. Graded top, 110. I laid the ledger out. Gifts for the wife and kids, 50 rounds, still 50-some yuan in my pocket. Mother went off like a firework. Ming Zi's capable. 1 trip up the mountain and he clears 100. He's better than his father. Then, half a breath later, same tone, no gear change. But money gets spent wisely, Ming Zi. Yang don't throw it around. From coronation to budget lecture in under 4 seconds. Chinese mothers invented the 2-stage rocket. Don't worry, it goes to the family now. I don't waste it anymore. That one weighed more than either of them knew. Last life, the money went to card tables and cheap liquor and men who called me brother right up until my pockets were empty. Father nodded into his cup. Younger going up tomorrow. Take Huahua. Your brother's set on coming once the snow lands. An extra dog is extra safe. I gave him the bow today, told him to practice. Yang practiced too. Then he dropped the line that files itself in the back of your skull for later. Sometimes a bow beats a gun. Sure, Father, right up until it doesn't. But I said, got it, because arguing with Liu Jian about mountains is arguing with a river about downhill. On the way out, I stopped and rubbed Huahua's head. She cracked one eye, identified me as staff, and went back to sleep while I did the labor. Look at her. A Di To Xiang, a nose-down tracker, the kind of dog other hunters would trade a rifle to own, currently employed as a doormat with a heartbeat. Last life, she guarded this yard till her hips quit and died having never once done the thing she was built for. Not this run. Tomorrow, she gets promoted. Behind me, the second the gate clicked shut, Father rounded on his wife. What kind of talk is that? Better than me? I taught that boy everything he knows about those mountains. He needs practice. How's he better than his own father? And Mother, 40 years married, fear level 0, didn't blink. He is. Strictly speaking, that was his second solo trip. Over 100 yuan. Badger meat traded round half the village. And he hasn't even sold the pelt yet. Yang, back when you went up with a whole crew, you didn't clear a haul like that once a year. So I'm saying you're not as good as Ming Zi. So what? Liu Jian looked at the old hen standing over her chick, drained the cup in one pull, and deployed the last defense available to a defeated man in 1978. I'm not wasting breath on a woman with long hair and short wit. He lost. He knows he lost. The cup was the white flag. Up before the sun, mountain gear, gun on the shoulder, badger meat Lihua had packed in the bag. Told her to get back on the warm brick bed and steal another hour. Called Wang Kai. He came out of his food bowl at Mach 3, tail going like a metronome set to unemployed. Then we made a detour, and this is where the day gets good. I walked into my parents' yard with Wang Kai. Huahua jerked awake, clocked us, and lay straight back down, because we're family and family doesn't go through security. I patted her head. Come on, into the mountains. She understood exactly none of that, and instead rolled over and presented her belly, requesting rubs, falling back asleep mid-request. A dog with the ambition of a throw pillow. So I picked her up and carried her out of the yard like luggage. She looked deeply confused about the airlift, hopped down, and immediately started walking home. Wang Kai! She's your problem. Get her up the mountain. Shoo! He was in front of her before I finished the sentence, blocking the road home, barking a few times. She barked back, and then the two of them had an entire conversation. Bark, bark, pause, bark, while I stood there like a man watching two co-workers resolve a dispute in a language he doesn't speak. And then Hua Hua turned around and took the lead, tearing off up the mountain path like she'd been waiting years for somebody to finally ask. Wang Cai went after her, and the two of them ran ahead, shoving each other off the trail. She was happier than she'd been for meat. I hadn't seen her like that in years. One man, two dogs, and a grin I couldn't have explained to anybody. Up we went. Second we crossed the tree line, the clowning stopped. Both dogs flipped to work mode, and the difference between them was immediate and beautiful. Wang Cai runs head high, fast, sweeping wide, cutting left and right. Range, speed, enthusiasm. Hua Hua runs head down, nose ticking like a Geiger counter, path almost a dead straight line. One of them is a scout, the other one is a search engine. I found a stump where nobody goes and even the beasts don't bother, outer perimeter, dead quiet, and waved them in. Wang Cai came instantly. Hua Hua paused, considered it, then followed, because she still had opinions about her employment status. Wang Cai went on watch. I sat cross-legged, ran the Beast Taming Art, put my hand on Hua Hua's head, and she went still under it exactly like he had. Pirate. Patient. Letting the true chi rinse straight through her. Half an hour later, I opened my eyes on my second pet beast, and she was sitting there looking back at me with eyes noticeably sharper than Wang Cai's were on day one. Which tracks. Wang Cai got trained and then father's leg got wrecked before they could take him up, and then I spent years being a walking disaster who couldn't take a dog for a walk, let alone a hunt. Better talent. 0 reps. Hua Hua's got fewer gifts and a decade of mountain in her legs. Experience eats stats for breakfast. Ask any 30-year-old at a pickup game. Let's go, into the mountains. Plan for the day, back to Badger Country. Grabbed the basket and canvas bag out of the stash and pushed on. Badgers are social. That stretch is thick with trees and grass, and where there's trees and grass, there's bugs and rabbits, and a badger will eat anything with a pulse or a root. One den in a range that size is a joke, there are more. But I had a second job today, and it was the one that actually mattered. Winter's coming. Once the snow sets, Big Brother and I go deep, bear dens, the big-ticket items, the stuff that's actually worth money. Deep means 2 days out, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, which means I need a Tangzi house, a hunter's holdout, and the sighting rules on that are strict. Water source nearby, but not close, because animals drink, and if you build next to the tap, you wake at 3 in the morning surrounded by badgers, or come spring, a black bear knocks on your door and the door loses. Best case is a hidden cave you can fit with 2 solid doors. A cabin nobody can find, behind a lock nobody can chew. 2 hours walk put me back at the smoked-out den, picked up howling grass on the way, frozen mushrooms, wood ear, found 2 lion's mane, which are the good stuff, dry them, stack them up, run them to county, city people go feral for that. 1 den means no second den for a few hundred meters. Badgers hold territory like landlords. So the method's simple. This den is the center, sweep outward in every direction. The dogs are too fresh for complex orders. Later I'll think a command and they'll map every den on this mountain while I sit on a stump and eat. For now, I walk and they sniff. 2 hours of that put us clean over the far side of the mountain. Badger dens found? 0. Basket. Half full of mountain delicacies anyway. Failure with a solid consolation prize. Sun said noon. I called a halt, dropped the basket, sat on a dead branch, broke out the canteen and the meat. 4 chunks. I ate 2, gave 1 to each dog. Share the hardship, share the meat. That's the deal. And that's when the tree started yelling at us. Woo 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 ... asterisk. I look up. Red squirrel. Sitting there staring at me with a face full of pure, uncut curiosity. And I felt genuine regret, because I don't have a slingshot. With a slingshot, that squirrel's in the basket, that pelts a collar on my wife or my mother, and that red is the brightest thing in this village all winter. The gun? Please. 1 round and there's no squirrel left, just a red mist and an apology. So I finished the meat, drank, capped the canteen, and then I looked back up at him with what I can only describe as fervor. How did I forget? I can't hit him. But his nuts are right there. Snacks for 4 daughters. A couple cracked open next to a cup of liquor with father. Absolutely fragrant. I gave that squirrel a smile he did not care for, Picked up a rock and threw it. New body, new arms, the rock cracked the trunk about a meter off him. He went from curious to evacuating in one frame and bolted straight home, which was the entire point, because a panicking squirrel runs to his nest, and a nest tells you where the pantry is. 10 meters off the nest, tree hollow. Covered over with leaves and dry grass, camouflaged. Buddy, I could see it from the ground. Pushed the leaves off, reached in, jackpot. Backup food storage base. First handful came out diversified. Acorns, hazelnuts, pine nuts, walnuts. Man had asset allocation, so I politely accepted them. Brought the basket over, handful after handful. The squirrel poked his head out and watched a bipedal beast liquidate his life savings in real time. Came all the way out of the nest to let me have it. Woo 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 asterisk. And I want to be clear that it was filthy. Genuinely unrepeatable. But he didn't dare come closer, so he just ran tight panic circles on the branch, screaming. I took 7 or 8 caddies and left him 2 or 3, and stopped there. Take it all and the little guy gets depressed. Might even off himself, that's a documented thing. And a laborer that good? I'm not killing the goose. Shouldered the basket, looked up, gave him the smile one more time. Thanks, keep up the good work. Fighting, I believe in you. He cursed me all the way out of earshot, and judging by the melody, a substantial portion of it concerned my mother. Half an hour later, Wang Cai found the second badger den. Post-cleansing, that nose isn't in the same category as a normal hunting dog anymore. He's picking up scent that's barely there yet. I confirmed it, put both dogs on hunting down the other exits, and we plugged them same as last time. Ask me again what's sitting at the bottom of this one. Careful sweep turned up 3 other exits. 3. This litter was paranoid. 1 more escape hatch than standard. Somebody down there had been reading up on contingency planning. Didn't matter. Old rules. Caved in, packed shut, escape routes deleted. Then both dogs on the one hole left because badgers forage at night and sit at home all day unless something special happens, and I was about to become something special. Then dry branches, leaves, green grass, and moss for the smoke, and this time I'd brought a urea sack, which beats a back basket the way a net beats cupped hands. Fire lit, smoke fanned in on a rhythm, and 20 minutes later the tenants broke lease. Dogs went off. I held the sack wide across the mouth of the den. Gray and white things shaped like a piglet came out at full speed and dove headfirst into the bag, which, genuinely, is the funniest possible way to flee a burning building. 1 punch through the sack, lights out. Flip, dump, discard, reset, next. Wang Cai and Hua Hua pounced on the first one, discovered it wasn't moving, lost all interest, and went back to flanking the hole like bouncers. If I whiffed, they were confident nothing was getting 50 meters. With my reaction speed now, they were never getting the shot. Sorry, boys, management is handling it. 5 badgers on the ground. Waited 10 more minutes. Nothing else came. If a few choked out down there, they can stay down there. I'm not crawling into a smoke-filled tunnel for the last 2. I buried the fire in soil and made sure it stayed buried, because the one thing you never do on Changbai is leave a mountain a lit match. Basket already full, so I'd bleed and gut all 5 right here, which is, technically, ringing a dinner bell for every predator downwind. But I've got a Type 56 semi-auto with 10 in the tube. Full magazine going in? Always. Yong, burn a few rounds, you top off the second you can. That rule isn't tidiness, that rule is your life. And if the smell of blood pulls in something big, with these 2 dogs, even if it's a tiger, that tiger's ending up in a jar of liquor. Found a stump, hauled the 5 over, hemp rope on the legs, looped over the stump, rifle laid within 1 arm's reach, not 2. 1. Mailing blade, clean cut across the throat. Blood came out fast enough to paint my shirt. By the 5th one, there was a small pool of it on the ground, and that's when my chest went hot. I reached in and pulled out the jade pendant, still that pale, weathered stone white, and almost too hot to hold. I looked at the blood on my shirt. I looked at the pool at my feet, and I dropped the pendant straight into the blood. The red drained, not slowly. Yang could watch it go like the puddle was being unplugged. 10 seconds, and that entire pool was the same pale, dead white as the stone. I picked it up. The ugly white was almost gone. In its place, a faint tint of cyan. This thing drinks blood, which raised a very reasonable question, because I bled rabbits and pheasants a few days back and it did nothing. Bled badgers yesterday and it did nothing. So, were the rabbits too small? Or was it that yesterday I did the work at home and none of it splashed on me, so the pendant was too far away to smell it? Because that's the thing, isn't it? It has a range. And here's the real question, the one that made my hands go still on a stump surrounded by 5 dead badgers. White was step 1, cyan is step 2. What happens at dark green, the color it used to be? Does it let me practice the Beast Taming Art again? Not the moment to spiral. Meat spoils. So, gut them fast, save every liver and gallbladder into the canvas bag. That's the medicine money right there. Rest of the organs went straight to Hua Hua and Wang Chai. The excess and the intestines got hung up on branches for the mountain god, because you take from the mountain, you leave the mountain a cut. Ask any old hunter here what happens to men who don't. Cut a carrying pole. 3 badgers on one end, 2 on the other, basket on top, hoisted, gone. Both dogs had mouths full of blood, which made my honor guard look like something out of a horror film. Hua Hua on point, Wang Kai behind me, so if anything tried to sneak my back, he'd call it before it got a vote. Return trip, completely uneventful. A couple of pheasants flew by, nothing else. Rebirth apparently shipped with luck plus 10. Then I hit the village entrance, and the aunties were open for business, because the intelligence hub never closes. Ming Zi, are you obsessed with badgers? Yang got more? I set the load down, drank some water, and settled in for a chat. And I want to be honest about my motives here. I wasn't being neighborly. Those women are a broadcast tower. Badger meat is good eating in the countryside, but city people find it gamey, so it sells for nothing. Traded around the village, though, it turns into supplies. So I feed the tower, and the tower feeds my winter. Yeah, they're fattening up for winter, so there's oil in them now that renders down. After spring, I won't dig a den out. No fat, no oil, not worth the walk. Big agreement all round. True, badger oil's valuable. Pharmacies buy it. And then one auntie leaned in with a flattery smile. Ming Zi, 2 dens in a row now. Do you have a trick? Can you tell us? The entire hub went silent. Everybody turned and stared at her. Because even if there were a trick, would he tell? That's money, you absolute lunatic. You don't just ask a man for his money. And yet, every single one of them turned and looked at me anyway, with hope. Because what if? What if he says it? I picked up my load and smiled. No trick. Be observant. Find mountain with thick growth, search it inch by inch. Have patience and you'll turn one up eventually. Which is true. It's completely true. It is also completely useless, because the actual answer is 2 dogs with supernatural noses, and that one doesn't fit in a tip. All right, ladies, keep chatting. 2 steps, then I turned back around. Oh, I'm butchering tonight. Spread the word. Anybody who wants badger meat, bring something to trade. Same as before. I'm not picky. The tower lit up. Home. 4 daughters swarmed the door. Lihua came out of the inner room holding 6th because she'd been nursing, and here's the thing nobody in this house has said out loud yet. A few days of meat and her milk is already better. Not dramatically. Just enough that the twins stay full longer, instead of the old all-day cycle of crying from hunger, eating, and crying again. That's what the badgers actually bought, not money. Quiet babies. The girls pointed at the pile like it was a parade float. Mother! Father caught meat again! We get stewed meat again! I let them have their moment and started assigning tasks because this is a business now. Ewer, plastic sheeting out, meat goes on it. Wife, mountain stuff's in the basket, needs sorting for drying. She came over with the baby on her hip and made a noise at the sight of it. Husband, you brought back so much. Top layers from raiding a squirrel's nest. Those need washing and drying, snacks for the girls. Howling grass and the lion's mane underneath are yours. She nodded so hard the baby bounced. I'll cook first. Tonight I render the fat, and I'll deal with the mountain stuff after. Ewer and Error ran off to help her. 3rd and 4th, without being asked, took up posts watching the 2 babies. This household has better internal logistics than my last company, and the median employee age is 6. I hung the first badger and started skinning, separating meat from fat. And out of the corner of my eye, Big Brother, walking in with a face like a rained-out wedding. Ming Zi, half the team's weaving traps now. They're all putting them in the river. It's a mess. And I wasn't surprised for even a second, because that's the thing about those extinction traps. The trick is worth exactly nothing the moment somebody watches you do it twice. Everybody here grew up at the foot of Changbai. Who can't weave a basket? Word gets out, and of course every family drops a couple in the river, costs nothing if it fails, and if it hits, that's meat on the table. Brother, not surprising. That's exactly why I never took those traps seriously. Ask me again what I do take seriously. The technical barrier's too low, and the river doesn't belong to anybody. Anybody can drop a trap in it. And then I told him where this ends because I've already seen it. Believe it or not, once it reaches 2nd team, this year's probably fine, river's about to freeze anyway. But next year, 1st team and 2nd team are going to come to blows over trap spots. They will too, I remember it. Men who have known each other since birth, swinging at each other over a stretch of water because there's a fish in it. So practice your archery, brother. Coming into the mountains with me, that's the real business. Not just anybody can walk into those deep mountains. He nodded. Don't worry. Every free minute the last 2 days I've been shooting down by the river. I can guard our 2 traps and use the open ground as a range at the same time. 2 jobs at once, of course. The man's a factory with a heartbeat. Badger skinned, meat and fat separated, all in about the time it takes to tell it. Brother, eat here. We'll have a couple drinks. He shook his head. No. Tomorrow I'm having father, mother, and your family over. How am I eating at your place every day? People who don't know better would say the older brother's mooching off the younger. And then he turned and left without waiting for an answer, because 8 horses couldn't drag Liu Bao back once his pride has picked a direction. I got 2 stools and a board set up for the meat, and Lihua called us in. Roast potatoes with a few pieces of badger mixed through, and halfway through the bowl, I caught my wife stealing glances at me, winding herself up. Yang could see her physically gathering courage like she was about to ask for a kidney. Husband, if we can't trade all the badger meat, could I give a piece to Li Jing tomorrow? It doesn't have to be much, a pound, just so she can taste it. And then she watched my face, braced, waiting to find out how bad it was going to get. That's the part that got me. Not the ask, the flinch built into the ask. I was poking a potato. I stopped, and I made myself smile, because she needed the smile more than she needed the meat. I'll set aside 2 pieces. Take them tomorrow. She's your sister. If you're giving, give more. Don't be stingy, or second team will laugh at us. Okay, now I have to tell you about Jiang Lihua, and about where my wife actually came from, because otherwise none of what happens next lands. Lihua and Li Jing are blood sisters, and they fled Sichuan during the famine years. The way she tells it, constant faction fighting back home, nobody working the land, everybody starving until their stomachs touch their backs. And they heard a rumor about this place, that up here you could knock down a roe deer with a stick, scoop fish out with a ladle, that pheasants flew straight into the cooking pot, that you could eat till you were full, that there was meat. They had a relative up here who wrote saying he'd introduced the 2 girls to husbands, and their family didn't want to feed daughters anyway. So they got their letters of introduction, and they ran. The relative, a temp worker at the forest farm, turned out to be about as reliable as a paper bucket. He walked them up to the prospective groom's house. The parents took one look at 2 girls thin as hemp stalks and thought, what work can these do? Refused on the spot. And the relative, seeing the deal fall through, simply stopped caring. Disappeared. Gone. 2 teenage girls, hundreds of miles from a home they can't go back to, in a place where they know exactly 0 people. So they sat down at the forest farm gate and cried. And this is where we all have to thank Lihua, who was doing odd jobs there, who saw 2 girls crying, and who, being Lihua, just walked up like he'd known them for years and asked what was wrong. Then he heard the story, got hot in the chest, and decided on the spot he'd marry Lihua himself. Then he went home and told his parents. 4th aunt-in-law and her husband walked down to the forest farm gate, took one look, and nearly beat him to death. What can a girl that thin do? And she comes with a sister attached? Yang think we're old-time landlords? And then the line that I want carved somewhere. Look at those hips. She's not the type to bear sons. Hold that thought. Hold it for about 6 years and 6 daughters and a village that's been saying it ever since. So Lihua caught a round of doubles from his own parents and gave up a wife idea. But, and this is why Lihua is a good brother, just because he couldn't marry her didn't mean I couldn't. He ran straight to my house and asked one question. Ming Zi, Yang want a wife? Say the word, I'll go get you a wife. Then he dragged me to the forest farm before I could form a sentence. And I fell for her on sight. And she looked at this tall, handsome idiot and thought, yes, that'll do. Now back then, everything a hunter caught belonged to the collective, handed to the production team for work points. But my father was Liu Jian, famous mountain hunter for miles. He cleared his quotas, he outpointed everybody in the village every year, and he could keep the small stuff, rabbits, pheasants, which meant our family lived better than the team leaders. So when their son said he liked the girl, my parents shrugged and said fine, married her in, sister included, as a dependent. And it was good. For a while, it was actually good. We split off into our own household, I worked hard, life was fine. Then came 2 daughters, then a 3rd, then a 4th, and I started drinking and lying around, and when the liquor turned my mood, I'd curse at my sister-in-law, a girl who worked herself into the ground beside my wife every single day, and tell her she was useless, that she ate and drank in this house for free. until she hit her limit and married a hooligan from second team just to get out of range of my mouth. And then she had a big fat son the next year, and that hooligan went around the commune crowing that Liu Ming's seed was bad. Otherwise, why does his woman only make daughters while my wife pops out a boy first try? And here's where it turns, because Li Jing's fate is worse than a bad husband. In about 2 years, that hooligan gets himself killed. He'd partnered up with some men at the commune to run a card game, the trapping kind. They picked a sheep, cleaned him out to the last cent, and then made him sign a note for 300 yuan. Next day, he walks up to that man's house to collect. And the man's wife hears the number, packs her clothes, takes the children, walks out to her parents' house, and leaves one word behind her: divorce. Now, any man with a functioning brain sees a family detonate in front of him and leaves, comes back another day. The money's not going anywhere. He kept pushing, and that man hacked him to death right there on the spot. The guy who came along to help collect took 3 slashes and ran. The killer went to a firing squad eventually. Didn't matter. Li Jing was a widow with an orphan, and when my wife came to me, begged me to let her sister and the child stay with us just long enough to get back on their feet, I said no. And then I shouted at her for asking. The husband's paternal relatives moved in on the estate because an heirless widow is just property with a delay on it. And Li Jing took her child and went into the river. And that was the day my wife's heart went cold. For years after, right up until she died, she barely said more than a few words to me. I've had a long time to think about that. And I know now. If I'd said yes that day, one word, yes, maybe none of the rest of it happens. So, for my wife's sake, I'll be good to Li Jing this time. As for the hooligan, forget him. Good words don't save a ghost that's already dead. With that brain and that mouth, if he hadn't caught a blade at that man's house, he'd have caught a bullet in the Strike Hard campaign a few years later anyway. Some men are just walking toward it. Lihua hadn't expected me to say, take more. She sat there checking my face for the sarcasm, and there wasn't any, and something in her went quiet. She's realizing it in real time. The man who used to grab all the heavy work before she could touch it, the one from the first year, is back. All right, I'll go over in the morning. I haven't seen Li Jing in months. I really miss her. I nodded. And then I said the part that actually mattered. Also, find out if she's being bullied in that house. Yang Tu came here as strangers. We're her maternal family. If Li Jing's getting pushed around, we stand up for her. My wife looked at me like I'd started speaking Russian. It took her a long moment to come back. I understand, husband. We weren't even done eating before the yard started calling. First customer, an old auntie with a small bag of potatoes. I put my bowl down, told Wang Kai to stand down and go lie in his kennel, which he did, insultingly slowly, like a bouncer being told the guys on the list. She came in and looked at the badger meat laid out on plastic-covered boards and lit up like a festival. Ming Zi, how much meat do you think this bag of potatoes gets me? I hefted the bag and picked up a piece about a caddy. Auntie, does this look right? Caddy and 2 or 3 tails. And she waved it off, generous as anything. Sure, Ming Zi, I watched you grow up. I know you won't shortchange me. Which, okay, that's a negotiation tactic, and it's a devastating one, and she's been running it since before I was born. So, I cut an extra lump off another hunk and added it in, dumped her potatoes out, put the meat in her bag, handed it back. Thanks for trusting me, Auntie. Here. She saw the extra piece and left the yard glowing, and she is now a walking advertisement with legs and a bag of meat, which is exactly what I paid for. First one lands, the rest follow. The whole village knew by now. Ming Zi's up the mountain. Ming Zi trades meat. Ming Zi isn't picky as long as it's useful. Everybody who'd missed out a few days ago showed up with something in their hands. Lihua finished eating and took the fat into the kitchen to start rendering the oil, and I got buried. Within the hour, there was a pile of miscellaneous goods stacked up behind me. Ask me again what people bring to a man who says he isn't picky. Most of it was easy. The problem items were cornmeal, bean flour, tofu, because people brought those in their own containers, which meant I had to empty every bag and every bowl and hand the container back. And I need you to understand why that matters, because from where you're sitting, a bowl is a bowl. Here, a urea sack is an asset. A length of rope is an asset. A bowl is an asset. Yang don't give those away with the tofu. There are households in this village where the total inventory of rope could be counted on one hand. Thank God the noise pulled my parents over, because between the 3 of us, we just barely kept the crowd from overrunning the yard like a bank in a rumor. Last customer walked off, and there was exactly 1 piece of badger meat left on the plastic. And I only had that because I'd clocked the size of the crowd early and quietly moved 2 pieces inside, Otherwise, there'd have been nothing left for my wife to carry to her sister in the morning. Promise made it dinner, nearly liquidated by market demand within the hour. Then the three of us hauled it all inside, potatoes, cabbage, vermicelli, off the ground and onto the table, and my mother looked at that table and lit up like a woman who just watched winter lose. Ming Zi, adding this to last time, your family of 8 has enough grain and supplies to make it through the hibernation. With this much, I can get this whole family fair-skinned and plump, which is, in this village, in this decade, the highest compliment available in the language. I'll organize it. Young men are too clumsy. Stay out of it. All right, I'll trouble you, mother. Though even without this, there's no need to worry. Looks like snow in a few days. Once it lands, brother and I go up and get more. Then I got to the ask. But I'll trouble you and big brother tomorrow. This kang hasn't been cleaned out in years. I want to pull it apart and clean it so it's actually warm when we light it. And saying that out loud made my ears burn. Because why hasn't the kang been cleaned in years? Because for years I was a champion-tier waste of oxygen who couldn't have located an ambition with both hands and a lantern. And Lihua? Girl from Sichuan. She'd never heard of cleaning a kang in her life. Nobody down there sleeps on a brick furnace. Meanwhile, the thing's been getting colder and colder every winter, and my daughters have been sleeping on it. Cleaning a kang is filthy, exhausting work, universally hated. Yang cannot pay a man to help you clean a kang. Good liquor, good food, doesn't matter, unless he's family. All right, I'll bring the eldest over tomorrow. Father, there's one piece of meat left outside. Take it home. Then I got a bowl, filled it with squirrel nuts, and presented it to Liu Jian like crown jewels. Good luck today. Ran into a squirrel, got into its winter hollow. Have these with your liquor, father. Incredibly fragrant. Shame I had no slingshot. I'd have taken the squirrel and made mother a fur collar. Would have been warm. And my mother's face did a thing. Even if you catch one, make it for Lihua first. She's got 2 nursing babies and this whole household on her back alone. It's not easy for her. As for me, it's enough that you thought of it. That's the whole woman in 2 sentences. Fights her husband to the death over whether I'm a good hunter, then hands the coat straight to my wife without blinking. Father, meanwhile, showed zero interest in being polite about his son's filial piety. He took the bowl. He inspected it like a jeweler. Not bad. Decent luck, kid. These are good with wine, so I won't be polite. He was never going to be polite. He's had his hand out since the word nuts. And right then, Wang Cai went off outside. I turned to the door and there's already a figure at my boards, hand out, reaching for the last piece of badger meat on the plastic. Wu the Sly, what are you doing? Okay, so, Wu the Sly, village loafer, legendary. And look, I was a loafer myself a couple years back, but there's a distinction, and it matters. I was lazy at home. Outside, I cared about my reputation. I'd steal from my own house to sell, sure, but I kept my face on straight while I did it. Wu the Sly has no face to keep straight. Man is shameless at the structural level. Any situation, he takes advantage. Any benefit, he pounces. Full-time petty thief, and if you catch him, he just lies down on the ground and says, "Go ahead, beat me to death." Which works. Every time. Because what are you going to do? Actually kill him over a chicken? Parents carried him his whole life. They died 2 years back and the production team had to bury them, organized by the captain, because their son couldn't be bothered. And it made him worse. If a job isn't mandatory, he doesn't show. He lives alone and goes hungry for days at a stretch, and when the hunger finally beats his laziness, he goes out mooching or stealing. Whole team despises him. Saying his name feels like touching something sticky. So when that hand came out, I didn't hold back. He pulled the hand in and gave me the oily smirk, the trademark. Ming Zi, look, Yong've got 1 scrap left, you can't trade it anyway. Why not let your second uncle have it? Let second uncle taste a little meat. Second uncle. I stepped up and let my whole face say it before my mouth did. Who's your nephew? My surname's Chen. Yours is Wu. We're not related in any direction. What are you doing claiming kin in my yard? Yong want badger meat? Fine. What have you got to trade? Yong don't just take it for free. Now real talk. With everything stacked in my house right now, I do not care about 1 piece of badger meat. It's nothing. But I can't set the precedent. Give him meat today, and by tomorrow, the entire team knows Ming Zi gives meat away. And from then on, every haul I bring down the mountain has a queue at the gate, and every one of them thick-headed enough to think they're owed. Never underestimate the malice in human nature, especially in a village, especially when there's meat in it. And Wu specifically is a sticky plaster. Be kind once, and he's on you forever, and you will never get him off. Sure enough, the second I said trade, he laughed the awkward laugh. Ming Zi, you know my situation, hand to mouth. My house is empty except the Kang. Where am I getting something to trade? How about on credit, just this once? Next time you get meat, I'll pay it all back. And then, without waiting for an answer, he went for the meat. Not reached, snatched. Yang could see the speed on it. He was fast. I was faster. Slapped the claw away before it landed, and out of pure disgust, I did not moderate the force, so Wu the Sly did a full rotation in my yard, and the mask came straight off. Liu Ming! What right do you have to hit people? The mountain belongs to the collective. Yang hunt meat up there, you share it with the villagers. Yang believe I'll report you? I'll go to the commune. I'll denounce you for fleecing the socialist sheep. And in 1978, that's not an empty word. That's a word that has ruined men. But arguing with him is feeding him. Every sentence you spend, he gains energy. So I didn't spend one. Wang Cai. Dog was on his feet before the syllable finished. Get him! Now, everybody in this team knows about the Chen family's 2 hunting dogs. Those are animals that walk into the deep mountains and pick fights with badgers and black bears. Wu the Sly's legs made the decision without consulting his brain. Man was gone, screaming the whole way. Liu Ming's fleecing the socialist sheep and setting his dog on me. I'm reporting you to the captain. I'm denouncing you at the commune. Wang Cai, come back. Called him off once Scaly hit escape velocity and looked after him with all the concern he deserved. Denounce me at the commune? Buddy, do you even know which way the government's doors open? Report me to the captain? Times have changed, buddy. He just doesn't know it yet. It's September of 1978. There's a train coming down the tracks at this whole country, and I'm the only man in this village who can hear it. Father came up beside me, frowning after him. That Wu the Sly's a real nuisance. Be careful now, he's got his eye on you. I picked the last piece off the plastic, tied it with hemp rope, handed it over. Him? Cowardly petty thief. Father took the meat, kept frowning. A toad on your foot doesn't bite, but it's disgusting. It's never wrong to be careful. All sorts of filthy things happen in the world these days. Keep your wits. I know, Dad. And I did know. What I didn't know, what I'd forgotten because in my last life I was too busy being drunk to notice, is that Wu the Sly didn't go home. He ran, and the further he ran, the angrier he got, and his stomach was growling the whole way, which turned the anger into something with teeth. He was headed for his own 2-room hovel. And then he turned, and went to Captain Sun Yong's house instead. Ask me again what a starving man says when he finally gets an audience. Captain Sun Yong had just finished dinner and was sitting in his own yard with a pipe, frowning at nothing. Because he'd been at a meeting at the commune, and the township head had said things, and Sun Yong had been chewing on them ever since like a man trying to eat a rock. Block the capitalist road. Speculation strictly forbidden. And also, members selling local products is how the people get a better life, and that shouldn't be cracked down on. So which is it? Yang see the problem. That's not a policy. That's a coin flip with a man's life on it. And every village captain in the country is sitting in a yard tonight trying to read tea leaves, because if he guesses wrong in one direction, he's soft on capitalism, and if he guesses wrong in the other, he's crushing the people's livelihood, and both of those have a struggle session attached. I know which way it breaks. He doesn't. That's the whole gap between us. So he's sitting there smoking, and then he hears a sound like a ghost wailing, and a dark shape comes tearing through his courtyard gate. If the house lights hadn't been just bright enough to identify Wu the Sly, Sun Yong would have stood up and kicked him back out on reflex. What are you doing? Why are you wailing? Anyone would think you're at a funeral. Then immediately to the sky. Pa, 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 my big mouth. The man spat 5 times to unjinx himself. That's the level of superstition we're operating at, and honestly, given what happens to people in this decade, I respect it. Wu took the scolding like weather. Captain, Yong have to help me. That Liu Ming went up the mountain without your permission, fleecing the socialist sheep. He set up a stall at his house selling the meat. Isn't that the capitalist road? I couldn't stand it, so I went to say a few words to him, and he hit me and set his dog on me. Lucky I ran. Look what he did to me! And then he thrust out his hand as evidence. And here's the thing about using Wu the Sly's hand as evidence of an assault. That claw is pitch black and looks exactly identical whether it's been slapped or not. On a young woman's hand, you'd see a red mark. On this thing, you can only really conclude that it's filthy. Exhibit A, inadmissible, also gross. Sun Yong didn't even squint at it. Don't talk nonsense, Wu the Sly. I know exactly what kind of man you are. Yang went to Ming Zi's to mooch, and he didn't indulge you. That's what happened. And he slapped the claw out of his face. Look at you, beyond saving. Whose private plot in this team isn't well tended? Only yours is a weed farm. Keep this up and I'm genuinely afraid you'll starve to death. Stealing, mooching. Have you even cut enough firewood to heat your Kong this winter? Don't go freezing to death on me. And that one landed. Wu looked genuinely scared for the first time. I've got the firewood. Nobody's lazy about that. That one actually kills you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Man will not weed his own field to keep from starving in 6 months, but he'll cut wood, because freezing is a threat you can feel tonight. There's a whole economics degree in that. Captain, are you going to do something about Liu Ming openly selling meat at his house? Sun Yong tapped his pipe against the sole of his foot. Ming Zi's selling meat? Young are not lying to me? It's true. Sold some a couple days back, got a few more badgers today. Dozens of pounds. Sold a lot to the team folks. If that's not speculation, what is? And then Scaly got excited and made the mistake of his week. Captain, this is speculation and profiteering. Yang should gather the militia, arrest him, and then… Tonk. Pipe. Straight to the skull. Even if I gather the militia, I'll arrest you first. Out here stealing and causing trouble all day, and now you're getting cocky? Calling for the militia? Yang want a struggle session of your own? Scram home. I've noted what you said. I'll look into it. And don't go blabbing before it's settled. Yang, hear me. So Wu the Sly left, rubbing his head, deeply wronged. He had some potatoes at home, swiped from his uncle's place a couple days back, so he'd go roast a couple and settle the hunger. Even his dinner is stolen. From his own uncle. This man is a closed-loop system, and the loop is theft. Then Captain's wife came out with a flashlight. Husband, Yang should still go over to Ming Zi's and ask. If something really is going on, warn him. We're family. Don't let anybody get leverage on him. Brother Jian hasn't had it easy with that leg, and Ming Zi turned hooligan. That couple loves their youngest most. And Sun Yong nodded, and here's the part that tells you everything about him. I know. I'm going now. Don't listen to Scaly. I've already heard about it. Ming Zi started going up the mountain. He's trading meat with the members for daily supplies. With his father and mother watching him, he won't make a mistake. He already knew. He'd already decided. He was going anyway, not to catch me, but to make sure nobody else could. Flashlight in hand, out the gate. Meanwhile, back at my place, I'd cleaned up the plastic and the boards. Girls had already swept the house. Lihua was rendering badger oil. I boiled water so the 4 of them could wash their feet, then sent them up onto the kang to watch the babies. And they're so well behaved it hurts. They didn't have to be told. They just climbed up and lay down on either side of 5th and 6th and started patting them, coaxing them to sleep. Tiny hands going in that slow rhythm mothers use. 6 daughters. In this life, all 6. Every one of them grows up. Every one of them gets an education. Every one of them gets a life that's actually theirs. Because last time, after New Year, my 5th daughter got what I decided was a minor cold. It was acute pneumonia. And I ignored it. Wang Tsai went off again. I frowned. Scaly again? That dogskin plaster, I'll beat the life out of him. Came out of the inner room ready to do exactly that, and in the dim light at the door, my uncle. Captain Chen Sun Yong. I called Wang Tsai off so fast I nearly pulled something. Uncle! Out for a stroll this late? Come in, have some hot water. He grunted and followed me in. I got out an enamel mug and poured. He blew on it, took a sip, and went straight at it. Ming Zi, I hear you've gotten diligent, taken up your father's mantle, going up the mountain, feeding the family. Then he sniffed the air. I can smell it. Rendering badger oil? That's good stuff. Doesn't go cheap at the commune. Not bad. Sons or daughters, doesn't matter. You make the life better. A man 7 feet tall is the pillar of the house. Yang don't lie around all day drinking. And I took that lecture with a straight back. Because of everybody in this village, this is the one man who's earned the right to give it. He's a fair captain. He's never picked on anybody, never harmed anybody. And the thing nobody's going to write down anywhere. Those educated youth who got sent here would have had a much worse time without him. The ones who ended up in the cowsheds might not have come out alive at all. He's been quietly keeping people alive for years, through weather that wasn't weather. Yang are right to lecture me, uncle. I was wrong before. I'm carrying this family from now on. He nodded and didn't waste a word more. All right, short version. Your father has a hunter's license. Nobody dares gossip about that. Policies are changing. Nobody can read them for certain. So I have exactly one requirement. Trade what you catch with the members, fine, but you don't sell it. Money changes the nature of it. What you take to the commune or the county, that's not my business. Ask me again how thin that line is, and how many men in this decade fell off it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I did, perfectly. He wasn't drawing a line for policy. He was drawing a line for paperwork. Barter has no ledger. Barter has no number. Barter can't be written on a denunciation and read aloud at a meeting. But the second a coin changes hands in this village, there's a figure, and a figure is a thing a man like Wu the Sly can carry to the commune in his teeth. Trade meat for potatoes. You're a good neighbor. Trade meat for money. You're a case. I understand, uncle. Don't worry. I won't make things hard for you. He nodded and stood. With your father watching, I'm relieved. Listen to him more. He's a shrewd one. All right, heading back. Take care, uncle. Come by when you've got time. He grunted, went to the door, and then turned around one last time for the real reason he came. In future, when people like Wu the Sly come around to sponge off you, don't be polite. Kick them out. Tao as you don't cripple him, your uncle's got your back. Don't be afraid. That's not a captain talking. That's a man handing his nephew a permission slip and a shield in the same sentence. I know, uncle. I barred the door with the beam and Lihua came over. Husband, did the captain have business coming at this hour? What business? I didn't give Wu the Sly any meat, so he ran and blabbed to the captain. When I'm up the mountain, if Scaly comes to sponge or steal, just call father and let him handle it, all right? She nodded, immediately, no fuss, because my wife knows exactly how village squabbles work. She's been carrying this household alone for years while I drank, and somewhere in there, she got harder than I ever gave her credit for. I keep discovering that in small doses, and it keeps embarrassing me. I'll help you with the fire. No need. It just wants a slow, small fire now. It doesn't need stoking. Yong's been out all day, husband. Go sleep. I'll finish. So I took her hand instead. I just want to be around you. I can't sleep alone anyway. When you're done, we'll sleep together. I can only sleep holding you. Heh. My wife went crimson. Husband! How can you say such mushy things? It's so embarrassing. We're an old married couple with 6 children. What's there to be embarrassed about? And dragged her into her own kitchen by the hand. Big pot on the fire, badger fat cut small and boiling, that faintly golden oil coming up out of it. It's genuinely nice to look at, which is not a sentence I expected to say about rendered badger. Husband, this batch isn't much less than the last. That's another 100-some yuan. Husband, you're really amazing. Then, immediately, because she can't help herself. But once we sell it, don't buy me those things anymore. Let's save it for emergencies. I fed a small piece of wood into the stove and looked at her. Don't overthink it. I know what I'm doing. Next year, I'm sending the eldest and the second to school. I know how to save. But what needs buying gets bought. Yong've worked hard for years. Whatever the other women in this team have, you have. And whatever they don't have, you have that too. Trust your man. I'm making this home better and better. Firelight on my face, and my wife looking at me like the future just came back into the building. I believe in you, husband. She's cheap to make happy is the thing that guts me. One hair clip and a promise, and she's all in. Last life, I spent 20 years finding out exactly how much damage a man can do to a woman who's that easy to keep. Slept past 6. Which, look, we rendered oil late, and then we got back on the Kang, and once we'd confirmed the girls were asleep, the couple had a little private business. That's all you're getting. Moving on. Today, the Kang comes apart. Agreed with father yesterday. And tonight, Big Brother's hosting dinner, so we'd keep lunch simple, and bring flour and badger meat over in the evening to make dumplings. Breakfast. Gruel and stir-fried cabbage. Then the whole family carried 5th and 6th next door to my parents' place to sleep, because tearing a Kang apart makes a dust storm, and babies don't need to breathe that. Bedding stripped, and father and Big Brother arrived, each carrying a winnowing basket. Right. Let me explain what we're about to do because it's the most 1978 thing in this entire recap. First, my father was good to me in a way that's easy to miss. Liu Jian lived better than most men in the commune, and our Kang is built with brick. Brick. In this team, most families still sleep on packed earth. That's the difference between a man who cleared his quotas for 30 years and everybody else. Second, most families run the Kang straight off the cooking stove, 1 fire, 2 jobs, which is why northern stoves are built so low. Stove has to sit under the Kang or the smoke backflows and you eat it. Ours doesn't do that. Ours has a fire pit that's a fire pit and a kitchen that's a kitchen. Separate. Which is luxury and which costs us. Everybody else heats the bed for free while cooking dinner, and we have to burn wood twice. At the foot of Changbai, wood is the one thing nobody's short of. So, fine. Now the job. Basin of water, sprinkled evenly over the Kang. There's a layer of loess on top for insulation and buffer, and wetting it means the dust doesn't try to kill you. Then Father takes the iron shovel and peels 3 centimeters of loess into the winnowing baskets, and Big Brother and I ferry it out to the yard to dry. Meanwhile, Lihua took yesterday's basket out to the yard with eldest and second and started sorting mountain goods, everything washed, then the howling grass and lion's mane laid out to dry while there's sun. Third and fourth were next door with Mother, on baby duty. Northeast fire pits are not small. Some are big enough the whole family sleeps on one. The top layer of loess alone took over an hour. Then the dirty part. The bricks underneath come out one by one, and the black ash burned onto each one gets scraped. And when I pried the first bricks up, my face went hot, because that's not just ash. Those bricks were coated in black crystals, years of it, baked on. Because nobody cleaned this thing, because the man of this house was busy. Good thing Ming Zi thought of dismantling the fire pit, said my father to the room. If we hadn't, I think the air vents would have blocked up, and then the smoke would have choked the family sleeping on it. Cool, very cool, love that for me. He said it in the flattest voice available to a human male, and I stood there and laughed awkwardly like the loser I used to be. It won't happen again. I'll dismantle it every 2 years from now on, heh. Liu Jian glanced at me. Heh, my ass. Get to work. We finish this today. The ash scrapes easy. The crystals do not. So the 3 of us sat down at the edge of the Kang and went brick by brick, scraping, stacking, and Big Brother hauling them out to the yard in piles. Worked till Lihua called lunch. Cornbread, potatoes, stir-fried cabbage. Everybody ate fast, gnawed 2 pieces of cornbread, sat 5 minutes, went back to it. Neither Father nor Big Brother smokes. Neither does this version of me. Later me did. After I got into the wild goods business, I picked it up, because out on the road, a cigarette is a handshake. Yang can't do that business without one. And honestly, fresh out of rebirth, I wanted one. Badly. But the family was still eating relief grain, and I needed them to see the change with their own eyes, so I didn't dare buy a pack. I'll grab 2 from the village store when nobody's counting. Sometimes 1 cigarette is pure joy, and I refuse to be lectured about it. Bricks out, and the bottom of the Kang is a thick bed of black ash shot through with those crystals. And now the real labor. Every bit of it gets shoveled clean. But not thrown away. Never thrown away. That filthy black ash is fertilizer. It goes onto your own private plot, and next year the crops come up better for it. Nothing here dies without being used 3 times, remember? Not even soot. My plot's a few dozen meters from the yard. Father kept shoveling. Big Brother and I carried and dumped. 1 fire pit filled 40 winnowing baskets. 40. My body's fine now. I could have kept going all day. But I looked over and Father and Big Brother were sweating, and Father's leg is what it is. So I called a rest, poured a mug of hot water, and stirred in a spoonful of our white sugar. Father, sugar water, sit. And Liu Jian was, again, not remotely polite about it. Took it, drank several big pulls, handed it to Liu Bao. Then, mid-swallow, the man audited my business. These people are quite generous, trading white sugar for meat. I wonder what they're thinking. Ask me again what they were thinking. How could that be? I bought that after selling the oil. Figured we've got children, keep some sugar in the house. Then I dropped the other thing on him, casually, mid-sip. Oh, Father, speaking of trading, yesterday Wu the Sly went to Uncle Sun Yong and reported me for profiteering. And my father's eyes went narrow, and something came up in his face that I had genuinely not seen since before the leg. Wu the Sly, I think he doesn't want to have a good New Year. Note the phrasing. Not, I'll hit him. Not, I'll report him. He is going to make sure the man's New Year is bad, which in this village is a much larger and much slower promise. What did Sun Yong say? Said you've got the hunter's license, so his son going up the mountain is nothing. Said policies have changed. As long as I don't sell for money, trading with the members is fine. Father nodded, satisfied. He's a relative. His heart's still with us. Then he set the mug down. Don't worry about Wu the Sly. One day I'll call a few of ours and go teach him a lesson. Damn it, dare to report? In first team and second team, Chen is a major surname. These past years with my lame leg, everybody's decided I've got no temper left. And there it is. That's the thing sitting under this whole family. Not the poverty, the assumption. A man's leg goes bad and the village quietly refiles him as harmless, and he's been eating that for years without a word. He hasn't gotten softer, he's just been out of reach of anyone worth hitting. Then Lihua came back from second team. She'd taken the meat to her sister after lunch, and her eyes were wrong. I was over there fast. Wife, what's wrong? She shook her head. Nothing. Month since I saw Li Jing, that's all. We had a heart-to-heart. Talked and talked till I cried. It's nothing. Which is a sentence with a basement under it. But not with my father and brother standing 4 meters away, and not with a torn-open Kong in the middle of the room. So I let it sit. All right. Take the flour and badger meat over to Big Brother's. Somebody traded 2 pieces of tofu yesterday, take one. Fish stewed with a bit of tofu is incredible. Understood, husband. She went. And I went back to the bricks, with a rock in my stomach and a clock running on a conversation I'd be having tonight. Bricks back into the room, father laying them one by one, because he's the only one of us who can lay a kang and have it draw right. Then the lowest back in, spread flat and even. Full day, 3 men, 1 kang. And now it can snow all it likes. Let it come down out there. Fire in the pit, whole family on hot brick, and the winter can stand outside the door and think about what it's done. Now, dumplings. In the Northeast, dumplings for a meal is a household-wide event. It's not pork filling, it's badger. And in this decade, badger filling is excellent, and nobody at that table would hear a word against it. Big Brother and father and I heated the kang, while Lihua and my sister-in-law worked at the eldest's house, mixing dough, rolling wrappers, chopping filling, and 3 stewed fish going with tofu and vermicelli and soybean paste. And that smell got out. That aroma went several hundred meters in every direction, into every house, through every window, and made a lot of people's evening much worse. The families who traded for badger meat yesterday were fine. They were eating too. The families who hadn't took out their stored lard residue and tossed a bit into the dish, then put it in the children's bowls so the kids could believe they'd had meat too. And the families who didn't even have lard residue got fed up with the fussing, picked up a stick, and gave the noisy child a beating, which counted, locally, as stir-fried meat. I want to be very careful how I say the next part, because that's a joke this era tells about itself, and it's the blackest one in the book, and the reason it's funny to them is that the alternative is unbearable. That is what's outside my brother's window while my kids eat 10 dumplings apiece. That's the whole gap. That's what the mountain buys. Mother brought the liquor, whole family around one table, every child's bowl loaded with about 10 dumplings, and every single one of them face down in it like a piglet at a trough. And my sister-in-law, being the eldest's wife, had to do the polite speech. Look how this turned out. We agreed my family would treat, and Ming Zi's family brought the white flour, the meat, and the tofu. It's embarrassing. Father, mother, eat the fish belly, it's tender. I clinked cups with father and Big Brother. Good thing father and Big Brother helped with the Kong today, or we'd never have finished. By rights, I should be treating. But since Big Brother's already decided, naturally I contribute more. Father put his glass down. We're one family, don't be distant, same either way. And mother from the side. Right, a family sticking together, pooling strength. Life only gets better from here. Kids' bellies went round. 3 of us got happily, comfortably tipsy. That's the second best hour of my new life so far, and I'd have traded a decade of the old one for it. Home. Bedding out, spread on the fresh Kong, kids down first. And once they were asleep, Lihua and I sat in the outer room and I asked, Wife, what actually happened at Li Jing's this afternoon? And with just the 2 of us, it came out. And her eyes went red the second the name did. Husband, Li Jing's suffering too much. Her man's unreliable, hangs around with the commune hooligans all day, and her mother-in-law bullies her, makes her do everything. When I got there, I walked in on that awful woman hitting her. And then my wife said the thing that took the top of my head off. Husband, you haven't been much of a success these years, and mother's never given me a warm look either. But at least father and mother stand on my side. They support this household. At least. That's my wife's floor. That's the standard she's grateful for. Husband was a drunk for 6 years, and the mother-in-law's cold, but nobody hits her, so lucky. Li Jing's family hasn't even separated. Her husband's useless. Her mother-in-law works her like an animal and hits her. Isn't this because we're outsiders with no family behind us? There it is. That's the actual mechanism. Not cruelty for its own sake. Arithmetic. 2 girls came up from Sichuan with letters of introduction and no relatives, and a woman with no maternal family behind her is a woman nobody has to answer to. Everything else follows from that one fact. Husband, did you see how thin she is now? She's completely changed. And then my wife broke, right there, and I pulled her in and held on. Don't cry. From now on, anything good I bring off that mountain, you call Li Jing over. Let her eat. Who says she has no family? We're her family. Tell her, If that house still won't treat her like a person, she comes and stays here a few days. Or we go over and settle it face to face. And my wife stopped shaking. I'll go over tomorrow and talk to her again. I don't believe that mother-in-law would dare raise a hand with her older sister standing right there. There she is. There's the steel. 6 years buried and it comes straight up the second it's for somebody else. All right, sleep. I'm going up the mountain tomorrow. Past 4 in the morning, sky barely gray, and my wife already had food and water packed, and she'd put white sugar in the water for me. She's rationing sugar into my canteen. I bought it for the babies. Heading up, go back and sleep. Be careful, husband. It doesn't matter if you catch nothing. Safety is most important. Got it. Door open, called Wang Zi and Hua, and 1 man and 2 dogs went at the mountain path. An hour's walk and it was full light and I was in. First stop, my pheasant traps. See what turned up. Got to the tall grass wood and heard nothing. Strange, there should be pheasants here. Did they die? Basket down, gun up, and I sent Wang Zi and Hua in ahead. They went in and immediately barked, but it was the no danger bark, so I squeezed in after them, and found my traps, and my face went hard. 5 traps set. 2 of them had caught pheasants, and now there's nothing there but blood on the ground and chicken feathers. I tested every trap, none broken. There is 0 possibility those 2 birds got themselves loose. And it's not another hunter. Hunters don't do that. Nobody up here is unscrupulous enough to steal prey out of another man's trap. That's not manners. That's how you get a reputation that follows you to your grave. And besides, look at the drag marks. Whatever took those birds nearly pulled the securing wedges clean out of the ground. That's not a man. A man doesn't need brute force. A man just unhooks it. That's raw pulling power. That's something that grabbed and hauled. Something big has come out to the edge of this mountain. Gun off my back and into my hands. Straight down into a squat, breath held, listening to every direction at once. There's a predator in the outer belt. Which shouldn't happen. The outer belt is supposed to be boring. That's the entire reason it's where I work. Could be a fox. Could be a lone badger. Could be a wolf. Except the pull rules out all 3. And that's when I got nervous. Genuinely nervous, for the first time since I woke up in 1978. Wang Kai, Hua. Sniff. See if there's scent left. Both dogs went at the traps in the blood, noses working hard. I didn't rush them. Stayed half-crouched, scanning, both hands on the rifle, muzzle angled slightly down, because from there I can come up and fire in any direction, and from anywhere else I'm just a man holding a stick. And the difference between my 2 dogs showed up again immediately. Hua sniffed a while, got nothing, and stood there looking bewildered. Bless her. Wang Kai sniffed, lifted his head, and started walking toward the deeper woods. The basket would be a liability if this went bad, so I dropped it, bent low, and followed him. Hua fell in a few meters behind me. Not because she was lost, because that's her post. She's got my back, so nothing comes at it. We went like that for nearly an hour. 4, 5 li. Not a beast, not a rabbit, not a single hair of anything. Trail's gone. Not his fault either. Judging by the blood on that trap, this happened yesterday at the latest. He's a very good nose. He's not the howling celestial dog of Erlang Shen. Ask me again what leaves marks like that and then vanishes off a mountain. I only kept him on it out of pure unwillingness to let it go. Because if I could actually put down something big out here on the outer belt, my name goes through this county like a rumor with legs. So I called him off, found a clean rock, sat down, and drank. An hour of creeping through brush with your nerves at full stretch will empty a man out faster than the walking does. And that's when something started buzzing in my ear. Mountain bees are the worst thing up here that isn't trying to eat you. One sting and you've got a lump on you the size of a steamed bun. And if you're unlucky enough to catch a poisonous one, that's genuinely how people die. I assumed hornet and waved it off. Golden-tailed and black-tailed hornets are enormous. They sting like a stapler, and they don't even make honey. All cost, no product. Waved twice. Didn't leave. So I looked properly. Not a hornet. A wild bee. And my entire day changed. Where there's bees, there's honey. And this kind of bee doesn't range far, 5, 6 li from the hive tops. Which means the hive is right there, and this little idiot is going to walk me to it. Canteen away, stood up, shoot it off, and then started chasing a single bee across a mountain with my eyes locked on it like a man tracking an artillery shell. Now, either my intentions were too obvious or that bee toyed with me on purpose, because bees have no intelligence, everyone agrees on this, And yet somewhere in that pinhead was the instinct that says there is a bipedal beast following me, and I would rather not go home right now. So it circled, and circled, and I followed. 5 or 6? Lee? We did 15 or 16. The only reason I survived that is this body. Anybody else would have folded an hour in. And the whole time you're not just walking. Mountain ground is bad ground, and you're watching for beasts and watching for snakes underfoot while staring at a bug. But hard work pays. Coming up on noon, that bee finally went home, and I found the hive. And I stood there and my whole face fell off, because I'd figured tree. Beehives are in linden or birch, and Changbai is full of birch. Tree hollow, I've got a method. Smoke it out, easy day. These geniuses had built in a rock crevice, 4 meters up, on slick stone. Can't climb it, no gear, nothing. So I stood at the bottom, staring up at the honey with my hands empty, and then I left. Reluctantly. Very reluctantly. Next trip up, that hive belongs to Chen. Whole morning gone. Sat down to eat lunch instead. Same as always, 2 flatbreads, 3 pieces of badger meat. Dog split 2 pieces, I gnawed bread and drank water. And chewed. And glared at the direction of that hive the entire time. That grudge is settled. Not resolved. Settled. Filed. Noted. It's going in the book with the rest of them. Man and 2 dogs eating peacefully, and then Wang Chai went low, 2 growls, body forward, aggressive. Hua Hua reacted and started to bark. Hua Hua, don't! Bread back in the bag, gun in hand, crouched, watching Wang Chai's line. And when I saw it, I nearly laughed out loud. 2 roe deer, silly roe deer, and I promise you the name is earned, hopping and skipping toward me, toward the man with the rifle. At New Year, I am buying the mountain god 3 sacrificial animals and the good liquor, because the old gentleman is clearly working overtime on my file. 1 knee down, other leg half crouched, standard stance, type 56 level, 3-point sight on the front one, the bigger one, at about 50 meters. And it did occur to me, right in that moment, that I haven't fired a gun in years, and I had no idea if my aim came back with the body or stayed dead with the old one. Bang! Birds went up all over the wood. Even the hive stirred, 4 li back, and my roe deer turned and ran. Wang Cai! Hua Hua! Both dogs were gone before the second syllable landed, off like arrows, barking across the whole mountain. And I stood there shaking my head, because I'd aimed for the head and put it behind the neck. Answer received. Aim needs work. Headshot and that thing drops on the spot, and if I'd cycled fast enough, maybe the second one doesn't leave either. Instead, the second one's gone, and I'm chasing a wounded animal. That's the difference between a hunter and a man with a gun, and today, I was the second one. The wounded one made about 100 meters, cried out once, and went down hard, with Hua Hua clamped on its throat. I waited a full minute before walking over. Young, do not run at a downed animal. Ask the men in this county missing pieces of themselves. Hua Hua, let go! Dead as it gets. Body about 1.3 meters, shoulder near 80 centimeters. That's a big one. And this time of year, they're fat and strong. That animal was 80 jin minimum. And a roe deer isn't badger. Badger meat is village trade. Roe deer sells in the city. Now let me describe this animal for you properly because it deserves it. Looks like a deer, no antlers, doughy face, squinty little eyes, and radiating out of that gaze, unmistakable at all times, foolishness. So I got out the chin blade to open it up and I looked up, and the other one was standing 10 meters away, watching me butcher its friend, with the exact expression of a fresh university graduate on his first day in the workforce. There's such good fortune? I raised the gun. Bang! Dropped where it stood. Clean headshot. And listen, with this hand strength and these eyes, if I miss a head at 10 meters, I should hand back the Beast Taming Art and take up farming. Hoisted it. 60 jin at least. Then I did the thing I've been waiting to do since the badgers. Dug a small pit, bled the first one into it, bled the second one into it, and dropped the jade pendant in. Then, while it drank, I gutted both deer, because meat spoils and superstition doesn't stop the clock. Wang Cai, Hua Hua, stand guard. Yang, eat when I'm done. Because my pheasants vanished off a trap yesterday, and I did not want whatever did that walking up on me while I'm elbow deep in an open animal with the smell of blood going out in every direction. Those things are cunning. They wait for exactly this. In the mountain, every detail gets covered. Caution is not embarrassing. Caution is the job. 20 minutes. Awful to the dogs. Intestines up on a branch for the mountain god. Old custom, always. Then I squatted down and fished my pendant back out of the pit. 2 roe deer make a lot of blood. All of it was now that same pale, dead, drained white, like every bit of essence had been pulled out of it. And the pendant? Dark green. The original dark green, all the way back. I closed my hand on it and ran the Beast Taming Art, and a wisp of spiritual energy came off it and drilled straight into my palm. There it is. Not the wilderness for cultivating, though. Not with something out there that pulls wedges out of the ground. Pendant back on. Both deer stacked. Lift! Threw 100 jin of roe deer over my shoulders, one set of legs gripped in each hand, and stood up like it was laundry. Wang Tsai, scout. Hua Hua, behind. 3 full hours to walk out because chasing a ghost and a bee had taken me deep, and I wasn't carrying a basket home today. That thing's still sitting where I dropped it. Borrow one off father or big brother tomorrow to move the meat. Past 4 by the time I saw the roofs of my team. And here's what I didn't know. 1 hour after I walked out of that clearing, something came through it. Yellow, covered in black spots, about 1.3 meters of body, dragging nearly a meter of tail behind it, moved through like a gust of wind, and it took the intestines I'd hung for the mountain god off that branch and swallowed them in one gulp. Then it made a sound, short, sharp, with a strange metallic edge on it that carries a long, long way through those trees. Ow! That's my pheasant thief, and it just ate my offering. I, meanwhile, was swaggering home with 2 roe deer on my shoulders, which meant walking straight past the intelligence relay station again. Ask me again what happens when a man carries 100 jin of deer past 6 aunties with nothing to do. Nothing. That's what happens. Nothing. The station was empty. It's getting colder by the day, and the northeast goes dark early, so it's 4 in the afternoon, and the light's already packing up, and every one of those women had gone home to cook. I hauled 100 jin of roe deer past the busiest gossip node in the county, and there was nobody there to see it. The greatest walk of my life. 0 witnesses. Absolutely disgusting. And the other reason nobody was there? The trap craze. Every household in the team is weaving them and dropping them in the river, so the whole village's attention has relocated to the riverbank. Yang can see it from the path. Knots of people strung out along the water, chatting, joking, somebody every few minutes lifting a trap to check. And when a trap comes up with a big fish in it, everybody rushes over to look. And the owner gets the fish, and he gets the crowd. And I'm telling you right now, the pride is worth more to him than the fish. It's not close. He'd throw the fish back if he could keep the 10 seconds. I looked at all that noise and I just shook my head, because I know exactly where this goes. Second team starts weaving by the day after tomorrow, latest. Then first team's traps go on the right bank and second team's go on the left, and they'll stand there facing each other across the water, and pretty soon there'll be more traps in that river than fish. And then, inevitably, the classic. What are you looking at? What about it if I look? Try looking one more time. What, Yang want to fight? Which gets you a scheduled bout on the bridge, and then both captains show up and hand out 50 blows each, and everybody goes home unhappy. There's not much season left this year, so both sides might hold it together. But come spring, when the ice goes and the traps go back in, somebody steals a fish, somebody steals a trap, somebody claims a stretch of water that isn't his, and then the men of the 2 teams are having a battle, none of which is my problem. And look, when it finally kicks off, I'll be at the front, and I will personally put a few of them down. Inside the team, we can argue and brawl as much as we like. Against second team, absolute unity. Grudges get put in a drawer, everybody links arms, and we go beat down those bastards from second team. That's not hypocrisy. That's a village. Home, and I got the wide-eyed, open-mouthed reception from my wife and daughters again, which is the single best drug ever invented, and I will be chasing it for the rest of this life. The dogs barking pulled my parents and both nephews over. Bang! 2 deer on the ground. Ewer and Error were already inside fetching plastic sheets before anyone asked. This household has procedures now. Ming Zi, you got 2 silly roe deer today? And I stood in my father's surprised face and let my chest inflate like a parade balloon. Yeah, I was eating lunch and these 2 just ran over on their own. Killed one, the small one ran off, and then came back. On its own. This animal is genuinely amusing. And Liu Jian rubbed the back of his head with an expression I could not name if you paid me. That's not right. Your luck is a bit too good. Every time you go up, you come back loaded, and each time with better things. Have the mountains filled up with beasts in the 2 years since I stopped? Or has the mountain god taken a liking to you? That makes no sense. He's close. He's genuinely close. My father is one hard thought away from the actual answer, and I'm standing there with a jade pendant against my chest that drank 2 deers' worth of blood 4 hours ago. And then my mother saved me. not on purpose. What mountain god? Stop handing everything to the mountain god. I told you Ming Zi is better than his father. Yang wouldn't believe it. Now do you? I always knew my Ming Zi was amazing. I knew it when I was pregnant with him. And then, in front of everyone, with total confidence. His older brother and sister were so quiet in the womb, but he was restless the whole time, kicking back and forth. I knew right then that Ming Zi was extraordinary. So the evidence that I was destined for greatness is that I was, in utero, annoying. Father and I stood there. Neither of us had anything. The yard just sort of sat in it. Mercifully, Lihua came out with clean clothes. Husband, change. Your collar and back are covered in blood. This one's drier. I'll wash that tomorrow. Bled and gutted, sure, but you carry 2 deer on your shoulders for 3 hours and you come home smelling like a crime. Changed. I'll skin these tonight. Tomorrow I take the deer and the badger oil out to sell. Father nodded. Roe deer sells. Trading it to the neighbors for potato vermicelli is a huge loss. Which is Liu Jian's entire economic philosophy in one line. Badger for potatoes? Fine. Roe deer for vermicelli? That's a crime against the family. Ming Zi, you can't carry all that alone. Take your brother tomorrow. 2 men is easier. I hung the first deer on a stump and got the chin blade going. All right, and that badger oil's valuable. Genuinely too much for one man. Brother and I sell the deer meat at the commune black market first, then he heads home. I take the oil into the county. Pharmacies there pay 70 or 80 cents more per gin than the commune does. That's the whole trick, by the way. Same product, 20 kilometers, 70 cents a gin. In this decade, that gap is illegal to notice professionally, and I'm going to be noticing it very hard for about 10 years. First deer's skin came off, and my nephew Liu Jianli, who'd been vibrating on the sidelines this whole time, finally cracked. Second uncle, can you teach me to hunt? I want to learn. It's much more exciting than guarding the riverbank every day. I want to bring meat home like you do. And I laughed and patted his head. Hunt what? Next year all of you are going to school. I don't expect anything profound, but you'll read, and you'll do arithmetic. Don't end up illiterate, can't write your own name, can't work out an account when you're doing business. That's not a lecture. That's a man who's seen the next 30 years and knows that in about 6 of them, the ability to read a contract is going to separate the men who get rich from the men who get robbed. Jianli's face fell straight into the dirt. Dad said he's sending sister to school next year. I'm already so old. Why should I study with those little brats? It's embarrassing. I'm not going. And then he grabbed his little brother and ran off without a backward glance. I watched 2 small backs disappear and shook my head. These 2 little rascals. He'll go. He doesn't know it yet. Meat prepped. Then over to Big Brother's to set up tomorrow. He didn't even hesitate, and then offered that if he got back early, he could chop some firewood for father. The man cannot be given a favor. He converts everyone into more labor. It's a disease. Home, ate, slept. Morning, 1 biscuit each, basket on each back, out the door. An hour later, the commune black market. Same 2 men on the gate, same question. Brothers, buying or selling? I opened the basket on the roe deer. Selling, paid the dime, started in. And a 3rd man called out, Brothers, is that roe deer? I frowned and answered anyway. Yes, hunted in the mountains. Is there a problem? And he read my face instantly and put his hands up, because he understood everybody's careful at a black market, and a stranger asking questions about your goods is how bad days start. Brother, don't misunderstand. I saw you had roe deer. Our boss is fond of these things. I'll call him over. Don't worry. Our buying price is the same as you'd get selling inside. We won't press you down by a single cent. And if our boss takes the whole lot, isn't that better than selling 2 gin to this one and 1 gin to that one all afternoon? Saves you the trouble, doesn't it? And he's right. That's the annoying part. He's completely right, and I can hear the sales technique inside the offer, and the offer is still good. Price is price. If the boss clears the whole basket, I'm walking out an hour early with the same money. All right, where's your boss, brother? He told us to wait and went off to fetch him. So the 2 of us leaned against a wall, and Big Bishop, first time at a black market in his life, was not enjoying himself. He waited for a gap, then leaned in and asked it very quietly, Ming Zi, is everything all right? Ask me again who the boss of this black market turns out to be. I checked that the gate man wasn't listening and answered just as quiet. They all say the people at this market follow the rules. It's fine. Which is true, and which is also the single most reassuring sentence available at an illegal market, and which is not very reassuring at all when you say it out loud. 10 minutes, and here comes our man on a tricycle with somebody else riding in the cargo bed. Trike stops, passenger hops down, lands, and immediately pulls a pack of cigarettes out of his pocket. Filtered, high-end goods. In this commune, in 1978, that pack is a business card. Brother, here you've got 2 roe deer. Have a smoke. I took one. Big brother waved it off. I don't smoke, thank you. Because of course he doesn't. And I knew this man. Or rather, I knew of him. He had no idea who I was, and wouldn't for years. Gao Feng. Notable figure in Qingshan commune already. And in the decades coming, his legend goes all the way up, county seat, then the city. That one private restaurant in the commune? His. The only one. And later? Restaurant chains across the entire city. Then the province. And of course, he's the boss of this black market. Obviously he is. Who else opens a private restaurant in 1978 without connections thick enough to stand on? Now let me put this in scale for you. The millions I made in my last life, the wild goods empire, the car, the driver, the whole thing I was so proud of? Next to the man standing in front of me holding out a cigarette? A speck. I lit it off a match and pulled hard. Refreshing. God, I'd forgotten. Hunted them yesterday. Look at the color, brother. It's fresh. Gao Feng flipped both deer over. Nodded, satisfied. Let me introduce myself. Surname, Lei. Name, Gao Feng. Didn't expect a young brother like you to dare live off the mountain. I admire that. And I won't hide anything from you two. I run a restaurant. Wild game isn't as popular with the masses as farm pork, but some people enjoy these things. Some people. Sure, some people. In 1978, that phrase is doing about 400 pounds of lifting, and every man in this alley knows exactly which people. So I won't beat around the bush. How much for the deer? Tao, as it's not outrageous, I won't haggle. And I stood there admiring the whole performance, because now I could see it. This is why he ends up owning a province. He walked up, established himself, flattered me, told me his business, and set the terms before I'd finished my first drag. All in about 40 seconds. Smooth as oil on glass. Brother Bao, my surname's Chen, Liu Ming. I'm not clear on roe deer prices. How about this? Pork's currently 1.2 a jin. Skinned, organs out, weighed as is, call it 1 yuan a jin. What do you think? And Gao Feng ran the math behind his eyes in about a second flat. That price is high. 9/10 would be right. He knew it instantly. And he took it anyway. Because I'm a hunter, and hunters bring more, and he wasn't going to lose a supply line over a few yuan. That's the difference between a man who makes money and a man who wins at money. I was watching him buy a relationship, and let me think I'd won a negotiation. Fine, consider it making a friend. Just remember me when you get good stuff. Ming Zi, scale. Trike man pulled out a scale and a carrying pole. No electronic anything in this decade. This is the ancient kind. Big iron hook on the goods. 2 men lift the pole on their shoulders. Third man slides the counterweight along the beam until it balances, and wherever it balances is your number. Big brother and Ming Zi lifted. Gao Feng and I worked the weight. 98 jin, 7 liang. Check it, brother? I trust brother Bao. And Gao Feng pulled 10 large bills straight out of his pocket. Call it 100. Consider it making a friend. Anything good off that mountain in future, come to me. I guarantee you won't lose out. I counted it and put it in the inner pocket of my coat. Since brother Bao thinks highly of it, good things go to brother Bao. Then he glanced at my basket and pointed at the jar. What's that? Badger oil. Taking it to the medicine shop in the county. And the second he heard it wasn't food, his interest died on the spot. Man is a restaurant, all the way down. Deer went in the cargo bed. He climbed on the trike. I'll take my leave. This meat needs processing fast. Next time you come, I'll stand you a couple of drinks. Go be busy, brother Bao. There'll be a chance. Out of the alley, and my brother was glowing. Ming Zi, I didn't expect it to go so smoothly. That man seemed capable. If we get more, we sell to him. Saves trouble. I can't believe 2 roe deer sold for 100 yuan. 100 yuan! Hunting in the mountains really makes money. And I wasn't going to pour cold water on that. He's a man who spent his entire life converting sweat into work points, and he just watched 2 dead animals turn into a third of a year's wages in under 10 minutes. So instead, I pulled out 10 yuan and handed it over. Take 10. Buy some things the family needs. I'm catching the bus to county for the oil. And my brother glared at me. Why are you giving me money for deer you hunted? What, you think carrying meat for you once is worth 10 yuan? Are you looking down on me? Instantly. No hesitation. This man's pride has a hair trigger and it points at everybody, including the people trying to help him. so I fixed it fast. What are you thinking? I want you to buy fine salt. Young, father and mother, you're all still using block salt. I've heard eating too much of that gives you goiter. That's not something to be careless about. Also a flashlight, and plenty of batteries. Yang and I are going to need them up the mountain. I don't have time, I've got a bus to catch. I'm leaving it to you. And that he took, instantly. No argument at all. Because it wasn't a gift anymore. It was an errand. That's the cheat code for Liu Bao. Never hand the man money. Hand him a task that happens to have money attached to it. And the salt thing is real, by the way. That's not me being fancy. Block salt in this decade is barely iodized, and this whole region has a goiter problem you can see walking down a road. In about 10 years, everybody figures that out and it becomes a national campaign. I'm just 10 years early, as usual. Another indescribable hour of being shaken like a paint can, and the bus put me at the county station. Basket around to my front, straight to the medicine shop. Same clerk, Comrade Shu. We'd done business once, so I wasn't going to go shopping for a stranger. Comrade Shu, here to sell badger oil again. Jar out, straight onto the glass counter, and Shu Yanmei's eyes lit up. Comrade Shen, one moment, I'll be right with you. Then she processed the customer she already had at a speed that customer definitely noticed and pointed him at the till. Comrade Shen is truly amazing. Yang got another badger! Selling badger oil twice like this? That's half a year of my salary. She said it lightly. It's not light. I've now walked into her workplace twice in 1 week and casually out-earned her calendar. She lifted the red cloth off the jar and gave it a glance. One glance. Still grade 1 price. Go weigh it. No inspection, no haggling, nothing. Second time and I'm already pre-approved. 24.5 jin, jar included, 95 yuan. Thank you, Comrade Shu. Yang saved me a lot of trouble. And she gave a faint smile. What thanks? I admire people who dare go into the mountains most of all. I hear there are many interesting things in the Great Mountains. I dream about going in and trying to hunt. If there's a chance in the future, could Comrade Chen teach me? And I gave her the wry smile, because there's only one honest answer to that. The Great Mountains are very dangerous. Once you actually go in, you won't have such thoughts anymore. Thank you, Comrade Shu. I've got a bus to catch. And the second I was out the door, that same older sister came gliding over to Shu Yanmei, absolutely loaded and ready to tease her. And Shu Yanmei beat her to it. Sister, is hunting in the mountains really this profitable? Ask me again what a county clerk does when she finds out what the mountain pays. Twice in a few days, and that's half a year of my salary. If I'd been born at the foot of that mountain, I'd go hunting too. It's exciting and it pays. Not like here. 2 counters, every day. I feel like I'll be stuck in this tiny space for the rest of my life. Sigh. And that, right there, is the whole decade in one sigh from behind a glass counter. A state job is the safest thing a person can have in 1978, and she's standing in it doing arithmetic on a hunter's badger fat and realizing the walls have a price tag, which the older clerk immediately ruined, because older clerks are the same in every century. I don't think you want to go into the mountains at all. I think you want to catch that young man and eat him up. Stop staring any longer and you'll turn into a gazing at husband stone. Ha ha ha. Shu Yanmei went the color of a struck match. Go away! Don't talk nonsense. I'm an unmarried girl. Exactly. Where would you find such an unreserved young lady? Oh, you. See if I don't tickle you. I was, at this point, 40 meters away and entirely unaware that my face had started a war in a pharmacy. Department store, shopping list, executed with precision. 2 boxes of vanishing cream, 1 for my wife, 1 for mother. I thought about getting 1 for my sister-in-law, and then thought about it a second time, because a man buying his brother's wife's skin cream is a sentence that ends badly in any decade. Better plan. Take Big Brother up the mountain, let him make his own money, and let him buy it for her. A carton of Baudouin cigarettes. And then I saw they had loose tobacco shreds, so I bought some for father. The old man smokes. Or he did. These last few years, while he was quietly propping up my household with his own hands, he quit. He never mentioned it. Not once. He just stopped, and the money went somewhere else, and the somewhere else was me. So now that I'm standing on my own feet, he gets his tobacco back. 3 jars, because every time I sell badger oil, I lose a jar, which is the least glamorous operating cost in history. Needles and thread, done. There's almost nothing the house actually lacks now. That's a wild sentence for me to say. 2 weeks ago, we were eating relief grain. And I want to save, because there's a watch in my future. Once Big Brother and I start doing multi-day hunts, a watch stops being jewelry and starts being equipment. Basket up, and I headed for the station, because the county town is a dazzling place, and the money in my pocket cannot survive extended exposure. Then, before the station, a crowd in a quiet corner, and I walked straight past it like I hadn't seen a thing. Away from home, you watch fewer commotions. Curiosity kills the cat, and next thing you know, you're not watching the commotion, you are the commotion. Then a couple went past me. Husband, it's right there. Some young men selling 3-colored candy, no coupons. Hurry before it's gone. And I stopped dead. 3-colored candy, no coupons. I thought about 4 girls at home rationed to 1 white rabbit every 2 days, and I turned right around and walked into the commotion. Big crowd from outside, hardly anybody once you're in it. Squeezed through in a few moves and shouted at the vendors. Comrade, give me a gin! Dale! Both heads came up. Ming Zi! I looked properly and, good heavens, all my brothers were here. Dale and Lade Zi working the sale. 3 tall stools holding up a big box packed with 3-colored candy in transparent cellophane. Feng Zi on the side taking money and making change. Where's Xiao Tao? And Dale didn't even break rhythm. Ming Zi, don't rush. Stand to the side. We'll talk later. Don't push, don't push! Sister, half a gin? 60 cents. It's not expensive and it needs no coupons. Are you buying? If not, I'll wait for somebody else. So I stepped aside and watched 3 men I've known my whole life run a sales floor in an alley. And I'm standing there having a very quiet crisis. Because in the later years, all I really knew was that these guys each ended up owning a shopping mall. Back in these years, all I knew was that they were bouncing around the commune and the county doing something. I never asked what. I was busy. They asked me, though, repeatedly. Come out with us, Ming Zi, come make money. And I lay at home. And when they came back to the production team, they'd find me for a drink. And every one of them knew about the thing with the children, so they'd quietly steer the conversation away from kids all night without ever letting me see them doing it. And then, later, after my wife died, and my father, and my mother, one after another, it was these 4 who taught me how to collect mountain goods, who lent me money, who found me channels, who introduced me to the bosses down from Guangdong. Everything I had in my last life came out of these 4 men's hands. And here they are, in an alley, selling candy off 3 stools. Business was excellent, by the way. That whole box was nearly gone inside the 10 minutes I stood there. I was about to remind Dale to hold a gin back for me when Xiao Tao came sprinting in. Dale, pack up! People are coming. And what happened next was the most beautiful thing I saw all week. Box shut. Dale shoulders the box. Lade Zi takes the scale and a stool. Feng Zi 1 stool. Xiao Tao 1 stool. 4 men, 4 different directions, and 1 sentence left hanging in the air behind them. Ming Zi, wait for us at the station! 20 seconds. From open-air shop to empty alley. Gone. Not a crumb. That wasn't panic. That was a drill. They've run that 100 times. And right on cue, 3 public security officers came into view. Now these men chase small vendors. They don't bother ordinary people. So they looked at me, a guy standing there with a basket, filed me as scenery, and kept going after the others. And I watched them go and knew, with total certainty, that they were getting nothing today. Half an hour later in the station, Dale and Lade Zi came strolling in, grinning. Ming Zi, why are you in the city? And you bought jars? They sell those at the commune, don't they? I stood up, and I was genuinely, stupidly happy to see them. Went up the mountain, caught a few badgers, rendered the oil to sell. Didn't expect to run into you. Dale's eyes went bright. Ming Zi, you went into the mountains? Not bad. Good that you've picked the mountain skills back up from your father. Say no more. Come with me. We're drinking. I've got a bus back. Maybe next time. And Dale looked at the watch on his wrist, because of course he has one, and killed my excuse on the spot. It's 11. The commune bus doesn't leave till 2. That's 3 hours. Don't dawdle. Let's go. And Lade Zi just took my basket off me and put it on his own back. What are you dawdling for? Follow us. A few days ago, you bought braised dishes, took 2 bites, and ran off. Today, we're feeding you properly. Well, that's that then. There's no escaping this round. So I put my arm around Dale's shoulders and laughed. That's right. That day I bought 10 yuan of braised food and didn't get 2 bites. That was a loss. I'm eating it. Back today, Dale roared. That's the spirit. We're brothers. Why the hell are you acting like a stranger? Out of the station, joking the whole way. 100 meters into an alley, 2 or 3 more turns, and a single-story house. Standard city bungalow with a courtyard in the middle, rooms all around it, and somebody living in every single one. Dalei and the boys rent 2 of them, side by side. Simple kitchen out front running on honeycomb briquettes. Feng Zi was at the wok. Xiao Tao was setting the table inside. 20 minutes ago, these 4 scattered in 4 directions ahead of public security like professionals. Now one of them's making me lunch. Ask me again what these 4 are actually building in that alley, because in about 10 years, every one of them owns a shopping mall, and I'm the idiot who was invited and said no. Ming Zi, try my cooking, stir-fried pork belly. I patted Feng Zi's arm. Sure. Room's about 10 square meters with 2 beds in it, which means it's less a room and more a suggestion. Xiao Tao had a small table set, 3 braised dishes, all meat, and a plate of peanuts. Ming Zi, you've come to the city, so we're not letting you go home until you're drunk. And I laughed right in his face. Give me a break. If they said it, I'd believe it. But you're a weak drinker who loves to play. Every time, you're the loudest going in and the first one down. Xiao Tao. ... Everyone. Ha 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 ha! 5 men around 1 small table. 3 braised dishes, peanuts, stir-fried pork belly, egg soup. In this decade, that's not a lunch. That's the highest standard of hospitality that exists. That table is a statement. Loose cask liquor, strong stuff, burns going down and keeps burning after, and every man from the foot of the mountain loves it exactly because of that. 40 proof is for effeminate men who sit in offices. That's not my opinion. That is the settled scientific consensus of this table. And in winter, this stuff is the difference between a man and a popsicle. Cups clinked, everybody dug in, and the whole group was genuinely, visibly happy that I'd come to my senses and gone up the mountain. Dalei toasted me separately. Ming Zi, good that you figured it out yourself. I won't say more. Anything you need in the future, speak up. I'm here as your brother. I drank with him, then turned and toasted the whole table. I was obsessed these past years. I won't say more. I remember every kindness. From now on, I'm going up that mountain, and my wife and my daughters are going to be plump and fair. And then it came out of me before I could stop it. Damn it, what's this nonsense about being heirless because I don't have a son? My 6 daughters are lovely and sensible. I should be happy. Bullshit, heirless. That's the first time in 2 lifetimes I've said that sentence out loud. And Lazy, straightforward Lazy, no filter, never had one, chewed his food and said it with real hate in his face. Speaking of which, it was Zheng Damin and his group cheering the loudest about that. A few months back, we got into a fight with them over it. We were afraid you'd mind, so we never told you. Ming Zi, you don't know how badly I beat them when I took the lead that time. They fought a group of men over my honor, while I was lying at home drunk, and then they hid it from me, in case it upset me. I didn't have a sentence for that. So I just raised my cup again and toasted them all. 4 caddies of liquor and a full table gone in an hour. Then cigarettes, then tea. And I say tea, but it's tea dregs, which still tastes like tea if you don't think about it too hard. Everybody tipsy. Xiao Tao, who loves food and fun in that order, flopped onto the bed and immediately started snoring at industrial volume, thereby proving my entire earlier thesis in front of witnesses. And while the liquor was still doing the talking, I asked, Dalei, is it just tricolor candy you're selling in the county? Dalei got smug, glanced out the door, saw nobody, then lowered his voice anyway. More than that, we sell everything, Tao as we can get the goods. Except firearms and ammunition. Note that he had to specify. Note that this list has a bottom, and the bottom is guns. Food, children's toys, cloth, clothes. We're not picky. If it earns, we sell it. We asked you to come out and make a name with us. Yang refused. But now you're hunting. So, anything good you pull out of there? Ginseng? Bear gallbladder? Tiger penis. Yang hand it straight to us. And the price will be higher than those pharmacies pay you. Guaranteed. And that landed square in the middle of my brain because he just handed me the exact piece I was missing. I've got the Beast Taming Art. I can turn several beasts into pets, which means that mountain, the one this whole county considers a place that eats people, is functionally my personal backyard ATM. The only problem with an ATM is having somewhere to spend it. Delay just solved the sales channel, which means I spend my hours in the mountain instead of hauling jars onto buses. And yes, I know what's coming. Gun control isn't for another 10+ years. Wildlife protection is only just now starting to get written down. There's a window here, and I know exactly how wide it is, which is a thing no other man alive knows. I could go anywhere. I could go now. But my father's leg is what it is, and my mother is right next door, and I'm staying close enough to do my duty by them. That's not up for discussion. What I do want is money. Enough money that later on, every one of my 6 daughters gets her own apartment in the city. City lives. City papers. And this is the part I actually thought about, sitting drunk at that table. A daughter who owns her own property has standing when she deals with her in-laws. Yang can't argue a woman out of a deed. That's the whole plan. That's what the badgers are for. Fine, big items go to you to sell. But you take your cut, otherwise I won't feel right about it, brother. And Feng Zi laughed from the side. Brother Ming, don't underestimate us. We've been hopping around this city for 2 years, sometimes chased by police like dogs. We know some resourceful people, and they'll pay handsomely for good things off that mountain. Then I smiled at Feng Zi and let my face go lewd. Feng Zi, Dalei and Lei Zi have wives and kids. What about you and Xiao Tao? Found city girlfriends? Yang both refused every match we offered in our team and second team. So, you want city wives? Yang are 22, not young. Look how worried your parents are. Lei Zi shook his head. Not me. I want to save more, fix up the house, then find a wife. Then he glanced at the snoring heap on the bed and dropped his voice. It's only Xiao Tao. He fell for a sales clerk. And that clerk's father is the director of a hospital. How's that possible? Why would people like that look at country folk like us? He asked her to a movie a few times. She ignored him. Sigh. I think it'll be hard for him to marry in this lifetime. And Dalei and Feng Zi both sighed too. Unanimous. The verdict was in. Case closed. Xiao Tao dies alone. Everyone agrees. Pass the peanuts. And I sat there, a man from 30 years in the future, listening to 4 grown men treat a hospital director's daughter like she lives on the moon. Because in 1978, she basically does. That's a cadre family. That's papers, allocation, connections. And they're 4 guys who got chased down an alley by public security this morning. But I've seen the other side. I know what happens to that gap. I know exactly how much a hospital director's daughter is going to be worth in the marriage market in about 15 years. And I know what a man who owns a shopping mall is worth, and I can tell you the numbers switch places. What's there to be afraid of? A persistent suitor wins the fair maiden. Tell Xiao Tao to pester her every free minute he's got. Pester her until it's a habit, and the matter settles itself. And if he actually becomes the director's son-in-law, he skips years of struggle. And the whole table lit up. Leizi thrilled. Then all us brothers benefit. At least when someone in the family gets sick, we'll have an acquaintance at the hospital. Silence. Then, Leizi, what are you saying? Yong jinx. Exactly. Spit, 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 spit. Yong really are a jinx. 3 grown men spitting on the floor of their own rented room to unsay a sentence about somebody getting sick. And I want to note, for the record, for later, that Leizi is the one who said it. 1:40. I left. All 3 walked me to the station, and they'd stuffed a bag of tricolor candy into my basket. When I tried to pay for it, the 3 of them nearly beat me up in a public bus station. Actual violence over 60 cents of candy. So I took it because I value my ribs. Ming Zi, Yang know where we live. Come see us next time you're in the city. Yeah, next time, I'm buying the drinks. Bus pulled out at exactly 2, and with that much liquor in me, the whole thing turned into a rocking chair, and I was gone inside a minute. Bag of candy in the basket for 4 girls who ration 1 white rabbit every 2 days. 95 yuan for the oil, 100 for the deer. A brother who fought men over my name and never told me. 4 friends who are building an empire out of a cardboard box and 3 stools. 2 weeks ago, I woke up in this body on a cold Kong in a house eating relief grain, with a wife who flinched when she asked me for a pound of meat for her sister, and 6 daughters this village had already written off as proof that I was cursed. Now there's brick under them that draws clean, meat on the boards, sugar in the jar, and a man in this county who owns a province shaking my hand and calling me friend. And it's still September. The snow hasn't even come yet. But here's the thing I'd forgotten to think about. Riding a bus and sleeping like a rich man. There's a hive in a rock crevice 4 meters up that I couldn't reach, and I promise myself it belongs to Chen. There's a wife going back to second team tomorrow to stand between her little sister and a woman who hits her. There's Wu the Sly out there, hungry, humiliated, with a grudge and nothing else to do all winter. And somewhere in the outer belt of that mountain, the safe part, the boring part, the part where I work, there's something yellow with black spots and a meter of tail that pulled 2 pheasants out of my traps, hard enough to nearly rip the wedges out of the ground. And an hour after I walked out of that clearing, it came through and ate the offering I'd hung for the mountain god. Mine. It ate mine. It's not gone. Things like that don't leave. They watch first. And I'm going back up there in the morning. Ask me again when the snow lands.